Richie.
Hey, Luke, what's going on?
Ha, not much, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I was telling you I was down in London for a few weeks, so that was
Yeah,
fun.
man.
Things are still restricted, but I went
Mm,
to quite a few parks. Like, loads of walking, like hours of walking each day.
mm-hmm.
And London's quite quiet just now. And when I say quiet, like that's just normal for any general city, but like
Mm,
London's normally like so busy that you can't move. But
mm,
it's not like that just now, like because there's not many tourists
mm,
like from abroad and stuff like that.
mm.
But
Oh
it was
yeah.
fun. So I get back like 2 weeks ago.
Cool, man. Yeah. So you just had to get out for a while and just see something.
Yeah, well, like it is, like travel's restricted,
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, but I went in the bus. So it's a 10-hour bus journey.
Oh
Yeah,
fuck.
and it doesn't really stop much, like
Oh god.
because like the other bus company like that does a couple of service stops, but this one's just like it stops at pickup points, but it doesn't do service stops.
Damn.
But I don't mind. Like
Okay.
I, I'm okay with that. Like it gets a little tiring, but you just go on with it.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, man. How would you normally get down there? On a train or something?
Well, sometimes I can get the train. That's 4.5 hours.
Okay, that's not
Like
bad.
there's the Virgin trains and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I get the train, but other times I just get the bus.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I normally get the other company. So normally there's a couple of service stops that you go off, like
Mm.
stretch your legs.
Hmm.
This one, you're doing toilet breaks on the bus.
Ah.
The little cabin in the back.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah.
it's like, how long is it on the plane? That's like an hour on the plane or something?
That's an hour on the plane.
Yeah.
I try not to fly right enough because the only thing with the plane from the city, like the city centre, so you still have to like even if you get the plane and you were going into London, you would still have to like travel like, in like a train or something. So it'd be like another hour
Hmm.
because London's big.
Oh, yeah.
But like a lot of the times that I get the plane to London, it's because I'm going to like America or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but the plane's about an hour. Yeah, so that is quick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's really like about from here to Toronto. It's about the same length
Yeah,
anyway. Huh.
yeah, because you were saying you were wanting to go like Toronto and
I
New York. You
do.
were wanting to kind of
I want
cover
to
that
go.
those areas.
I want to go because it's a massive city. But again, all these stupid restrictions, it's just no point there. So whatever. I'm not stressed about it until this thing is done. So yeah.
Yeah, Ontario got it quite bad. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not worth it.
yeah, I know. Yeah, hopefully things are like. I mean, I'm going to get my vaccine in a couple of weeks, so like, I've not had it yet, but
No, me
like
neither.
now we can apply. Yeah, so
Yeah, well,
hopefully
anyway.
that changes things.
Yeah, no, that's cool though, man. So you were out for a little bit and everything's pretty quiet down there.
Yeah,
Yep. I
yeah,
hear
really
you.
quiet. Yeah.
I hear you, man. All right. So yeah. So anything else happening or you been just sort of doing your thing? You doing got any new books or anything on the go that you're reading or
Um, I've been rereading like Eckhart Tolle. Like I've been rereading some of his books.
yeah,
Like
he's
because
good.
I like those. And like every 6 months or so, some of his books. I'm reading those.
Mm,
Doing more fitness. Like I'm always doing fitness, more multiple workouts, like each
mm,
day and stuff. Because I had different injuries stuff. So like some of my workouts were I was still doing it, but like, I maybe couldn't go far with running and stuff. But
mm,
now I've been kind of injury free. So, but you've always kind of got to watch because when you're doing quite a lot, you can pick up little injuries of that. But
mm,
like, but yeah, like been going running in the morning, like
mm,
then doing workouts and
mm.
like kind of up in it. Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, I work out all the time. Like I work out every day pretty much. And I walk a lot. I've been going for like massive walks, so that's been good, man. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
that's about it.
walking's a lot of fun.
Well, I love to walk, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
That's about it, man. I've been eating loads of protein, like just trying to. I feel like I always need protein, man. I'm just always eating it, and that's something. And maybe
yeah,
this is something maybe we can talk about another day. But I've been looking into like TRT. Do you guys have that over there? Like testosterone replacement therapy? Do you guys? Have you heard about that?
I've heard about it, but I don't think it's that common over here.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's really common
What is that a process? Yeah.
it's really common in America anyway. It's like it's starting. There is somewhat available in Canada now. I've been looking into it, so that's something that like I'm gonna look into anyway a little more, so I can keep you updated on that.
Get more info on that, like, because obviously I've heard of different things. Like I know about the NoFap and all that. Like,
Oh
but,
yeah.
but this seems more like a procedure. Uh-huh.
Oh, it's like
This
testo.
is more therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like testosterone. Like you get like basically like prescribed, so you just like keep your testosterone up basically.
Oh, 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 all right, right. Again, it's like you get prescribed medication or that, and it keeps
Yeah,
your levels
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another thing I'm looking into. Yeah, that's about it, man. Okay. So you've been doing that, man. Have you, oh, here's something interesting I do. I got like a friend of mine, he's getting into being a photographer. So I think I mentioned before I
Yeah.
wasn't going to do Tinder or anything like that until I got professional photos taken.
Yeah.
I got this
Yeah.
guy.
You mentioned that.
I
Yeah.
fuck like I just refused to do it, man. So anyway, I finally got it. This guy, he took a bunch of pictures for me. Just sick photos, man. Really good photos. And then I just took some time and just wrote up like a really good bio and stuff. That's the only way to do it, man, as far as I'm concerned. If you're gonna do Tinder and stuff, bro, you gotta get professional photos, like by an actual
Yeah.
photographer. Dude, you got to. And then you need to really take time to write like a really good bio.
Well, the thing is, I actually think that the bio's not that important. Like it, and I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's unimportant, but I think compared to like maybe like Match.com or ones like that, like the bio, like I think like with Tinder, it's just all like, picture based and like first impression and stuff.
Yeah,
But like it's the small percenters still matter
it's
because
it
as
it.
you're the like it's not that the bio doesn't matter. It's just that like as you're saying, if you've got the professional pictures and
Mhm.
they're clicking on it,
Oh yeah,
then when the chat's actually happening, then they're going to say, "Oh, I wonder what this guy actually does," and
yeah,
then that's where the bio comes in.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it still definitely helps, but like a lot of people get stuck up in the bio because they think, "Oh, I've got to put this big paragraph and all that," and
It
like
just
a whole life story.
oh
Yeah,
no no, it just has to be okay. It just can't be bad. But definitely the photos are photos are like 80%, and then the bio fine
yeah.
just 20%. It just have it okay that it's not ruining things, and it's just gonna make
Yeah.
things easier for you.
See, mine get banned actually. Like, I don't know if I told you that.
No.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing because I was just using it like normal, but I started experimenting with the locations, right? Because I got like, it's not gold, it was called Plus. Like, and Plus is really cheap. Like, it was only like a couple of pounds each month. Like, it was pretty cheap. So I tried that, but I was getting like, especially like I was just trying different places just to experiment with the algorithms and stuff. And like Southeast Asia, like goes massive for like white guys and stuff like that. Like that's like I already knew that, but I was just experimenting. But I think because what happened is I went on one day and all my matches were all going different numbers. Like so like it kept changing numbers, so like a lot of them were coming down or up and stuff like that. So I thought, all right, like must be a problem with my phone today. And then when and the next day it said banned, but like the problem I've got now is when you try and appeal, like Tinder doesn't have anything like that. It's
Mm.
just that like if you get banned and it's no fault of your own, like that's your like
So
there's nothing we can
you
do.
gotta
But
restart a new
yeah,
account. Or you gotta create a new account, or
yeah, I would have to create a new account,
yeah.
but it's more difficult than I realised because you can't put your phone number in.
Mm.
So I would have to like use so like I've kind of just took a break from it, but especially with the whole like the lockdowns and all that, like but I would like to use it because like I say, like I'm not big on online, but it's still a tool to have. It's a good, like, it's an extra. It's a bonus.
Yeah,
Um,
I was really hadn't used it in years, so I was totally out of practice with it, and this was the first time just because I had got the photos and everything was done, so I was like, all right, I'll try.
yeah,
I got way more matches, like tons. Like it was so too many. It was so overwhelming. I couldn't. It was stressed me out, to be honest. So I had to hide my card. Like you know how you can take your card, like show your card or hide your card.
yeah.
I had to show it, like, cause I joined all of them at once, like fucking Tinder and Bumble and all that shit. And and yeah, so I was getting, but it was so stressful and overwhelming. I was like every day sitting there for like an hour or more,
Yeah.
texting all the more. It was like some days I'd spend an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening texting tons of people trying. That went on for like a week and it was stressing me out. I just ended up hiding all the shit and I just try to deal with the matches I already have. So that's was my experience.
That was similar to my experience when like I hadn't done professional photos, but I'd just been like, trying with Southeast Asia, like especially the Philippines. Like I'd done a couple of other countries as well,
Mm-hmm.
but like the match rate's just so much higher there.
Mm. Mm.
Because like, over here it's okay. Like, over here it's kind of like, UK is just kind of average. Like a lot of people use it, but
Mm.
a lot of, like, it's just kind of comes and goes. But over there, like I think it's just because like you stand out over there,
Mm-hmm.
like like and I heard that over like over that kind of way like is like good for like but I thought I'll just do it just for like fun
Mm.
just to experiment, but like as you're saying it was overwhelming, like
Mm.
there were so many messages and I
Mm.
just wasn't getting back, like
Mm.
because that's another problem, but like because I think me and you haven't noticed that much because we've always been out or been
Yeah.
doing things on the outside,
Oh
but
yeah.
because of this lockdown, like you don't realise how much time it can take like online just by like just going into it and stuff like that.
Tons.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
it's a kind of a different vibe too because like it's weird. It's like you're kind of coming from a different dynamic when you're speaking to the girl
Yeah,
because you haven't even met her in real life and you didn't like demonstrate that initial like it's such a different thing. You get on a different you're like on a different level when you actually get meet the girl
yeah,
in person and get her number in person. It's like, "Oh, okay, this is actually something." When you're swiping, it's like she doesn't respect you as much. It's like so much easier
no,
for her to like just dismiss you and it's like don't get me wrong, the girls flake in fucking real life too, for sure. But it's just like it's like you don't get all the reference experiences. Like you don't get the reference experience of really meeting her, and then it's just like the whole thing's just done over texting, and then it's a bit weird, I guess.
yeah, and like I feel the build up like I mean it depends on the girl right enough, but I'm saying I think the build up like there's a bigger build up online,
Mm, mm.
so the expectations are higher,
Yeah, it's so weird.
whereas like
It,
yeah.
it's so weird. It's like it's almost like yeah, it's so strange. It's like you almost like they're almost expecting more out of you even though it was like just a match on Tinder. They're almost like putting more pressure on you and like asking you more questions, whereas so many times you meet the girl in person it's like she never puts pressure on. She never asks you, well, what do you do? How much money? This and this. It's like, whereas online they feel like they have just a green light to do that. It's so weird. Have you noticed that
Yeah,
too?
yeah, I've noticed it, but I think it's to do with the age as well because
Mm.
see the natural age on the like, especially on Tinder, like it's set at 18 to 25, right? So a lot of people don't change that, like, but because I'm 29, like I don't come up for them now. So like a lot of the ones are more the mid 20s to older.
Oh,
So it's So it's an older group
Yeah,
in general. Yeah,
that's the thing too, eh? Because it had been so long since I even used these, and also I hadn't even been going out. I hadn't really been meeting any girls the last while. Not just because of Corona, but
yeah,
just because I wanted to just have a break from it all. So I wasn't
yeah,
used to it. So when I first got on there, I said, "Look, just because I want to keep things a little bit civilized for at least the first while, I'm just gonna talk to the older girls." So I had my
yeah,
thing like age like 27 to like 35, which is pretty old. Like I'm 36, but like normally I would
yeah,
I would never talk to girls like older than 30. But anyway, I just did this because I was like, let's just keep it civilized. And yeah, I found that for sure. They were way more I just was a lot more pressure. I just felt a lot more like I wasn't used to that of like girls really grilling me on shit. And so anyway, that was what I noticed. And I don't want to meet those. I don't want to meet like the university. I want to meet that university girl in person.
yeah,
I don't want
yeah,
because I don't want her swiping on me. Fuck that. I want to meet her at like a beer garden or at a bar or at a park. Like that's where I want to meet her.
yeah. I think the problem with online now is because there's so many restrictions still. What I mean, I think it would be similar over in Canada. Like
Mm.
because there's still a lot of restrictions. Okay, you can do this now, but you can't do this. It's although things are opening up, they're still not fully open. So it's not like the old days that you could just say, "Hey, like, do you want to go a drive? Or do you want to go to the cinema?" Do you know what I'm saying? Like now it's, "Oh, you can't sit next to each other. You've got to wear your face mask." Like, yeah,
I I had some of that girls being like, "Oh, I don't know about Corona. I don't know if I can meet or blah blah blah." And it's like it's been a weird thing, and it's like I've had a few of them flake on me last minute because they're
yeah,
like they're like, "Oh, I don't think I'm allowed to go," and it's like, "What the fuck?" Like, so anyway, whatever. It's a little experiment I did, and that was nice. So
yeah, yeah. It's worth trying it. Like, I mean, like with things online, you've got to experiment a little bit because, like, uh, as I say, like, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's
mm.
still a tool to have. It's still a bonus. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a tool to have and a
yeah,
bonus. It cannot be like it can't be like the foundation of your game, but
no,
it's a kind of like an addition. It's kind of like a tool you can go to once in a while, I think. I would be really I would be wary to tell a guy like you should just use it in limited supply. You don't want to rely on that, man. I don't think it's a good habit to get into to rely on meeting these girls like that. It's just I don't think it's good. It's not good core game.
no, 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 because like, some guys get into it and that's what they're 80%,
Yeah.
and then but then when they go out and they're 20%, they're very hesitant. They're very like in that way, like and everybody will have those days, right? Like especially starting out, but like those guys are having those days anytime they go out.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
but they're 80%. Like they're really focused online. So and they actually might have decent messaging, right? But then when they meet up, like the expectations are too high. They can't live up to them.
Oh, I know. It's
I
and
think they
that's
just
what
make like this. Yeah,
yeah, that's what
they just make it
happens.
harder for themselves.
Yeah, they do. Like guys get really good at the texting and it's like they've got these entire giant text threads and ongoing where they're with all these different girls and it's like you spend so much time and energy in it. It's like, and a lot of the girls still flake. Like I had
Yeah,
a bunch where it was like way more texting than I would ever do. And I'm, as we know, I don't like, neither one of us are good texters or even like doing it. Some girl who I meet out, the texting is going to be extremely minimal, like extremely minimal. Well, she might still flake, but either way, it was not much texting. Whereas a lot of these girls I'm meeting online, there's loads of texting, and a lot of times they still flake. So it's like
yeah,
I'm investing a lot more, and they can still flake. So it's the whole dynamics are different. That's what I see.
yeah, yeah. I see that as well because like there's so it's like you're going back to the pressure as well. Like because there's so much back and forth texting, and all that. Like the build up's there, the expectations are there. Like the guys also invested a lot, so he's gave a lot more information. So there's less to show even when he meets up as well, because she knows what job he has, she knows his age, she knows what he does in his spare time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
You're
like,
really playing into her frame big time. That's what I've noticed. Is it's all geared towards their frame. It's like
yeah,
they're really putting themselves in the buyers. And of course, you can, I'm not saying we're not saying no one should do it. You can do it. You can be successful at it. You can get a lot of progress there. But I see why guys don't do it. Like really good guys. Like I know Tyler doesn't use it. Tom Torero doesn't use it. Those
yeah.
guys they just refuse. They're just like, no, I'm not doing it. And I hear them with that. I get
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's two things. Like some guys just aren't into it at all. They just think it's not a good thing at all.
Mm.
And then other guys just think I would get too addicted to that. I wouldn't be able to like
Yeah.
limit. Like
I'm actually
I,
I can relate to that a little bit. I found myself getting totally carried away with it. That first couple days,
yeah,
I was just I was like addicted, bro. It's like all the matches, and I'm like, oh, okay, this girl, okay, now when, and I'm trying to sort them all out, and I'm lining up all the dates. I had my whole calendar filled with dates back to back. This girl flakes, fill this one in. I don't like that kind of behavior. I want to be relaxed and chilled, and it was too much.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it can take over because like it ends up just a little additional thing becomes like a full stressful thing, and then it's not even fun anymore because it's just like I mean it's fun for a couple of days. Oh god, I've got all these matches. Like I can message this one, but then you just realise I can't be bothered messaging them. I just want to go my walk. Like
Oh,
but, yeah,
totally, dude. Totally. It was so. And then I meet somebody out. Then I meet one girl out, and it's like such a relief. It's like, oh, good. I just met someone out.
yeah,
Like, it's just so much nicer. And I even find myself like showing that girl more respect. It's like I valued her higher because we actually met out. Whereas the girls online, I even myself feel more dismissive to them. It's like there's not as much there. There's not as much substance.
yeah. And I think they respect you better as well.
Oh, big
That's
time.
my experience. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, man. Okay, well, we seem kind of on a similar page as that. And again, we're not saying no one should do it. Give it a shot, have a laugh, whatever. And I would too, especially if I traveled, I would have it on there as like a backup.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like you said, I would even go on ahead of time, like you were doing, and send my location down to that city where I was going. Get some things set up ahead of time. That might be good, right?
that is useful. Like that was part of the. Obviously, I was just experimenting because I can't go abroad and stuff just now. But
Mm-hmm.
I would have been doing that, like, and I'll create a new account or whatever. But like, say I was. Let's just use London for example. Say I was going to go to London, right? Like, then I could set a week before I go. So because like a week before you go, you can't physically meet people from there. If that makes sense. Apart from people you already know or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean new people. Like, so if you set it like say 4 or 5 days before, you just start like putting the location there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you go, you've already got like maybe through different numbers and through stuff like that, so that you can still go out and do your thing, but you're already set. Like you're just setting yourself up better.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go, you can think, okay, in the Saturday night I can go out like with that one. Sunday I can go out with that one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can just like do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, especially like, places like South America, Asia, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a, a lot of those times, like it might be overwhelming being out there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Oh, for
actually just
sure.
being out there.
For
Yeah,
sure. So does
yeah.
it show you like as if you're in that city already, or does it show you like thousands of miles away?
So it doesn't show you thousands of miles away. Well, it does, right? But it comes up. So like you know how when you're just swiping, like it just comes up, but like you would have to actually click in the picture to see that I'm miles away.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So
I see.
like so like they like the girls would just think that I'm there or I'm
Oh,
nearby.
okay. And then
Like
once you
but
match, then you can say, "Oh, I'll be there in a week or something." Oh, okay, I see.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's
a lot of them think you've left. That happens a lot as well. Oh, well, when
oh.
did you leave and stuff? That's the message. I've still to come.
Oh, they
Yeah,
thought you were already there, and they're like, "Oh, you left the Philippines."
yeah.
Oh my.
That's a bit too crazy. That place though.
Oh, I bet.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's it too, right? And that's what's strange too. I found that online is like it's really like man, it's kind of like the very like cut and dry like we were like the sexual marketplace like it's very like it's like the cut and dry dynamics of that kind of just like showcased. They're like really just out there kind of like looking for their like what can they get kind of. I've sort of noticed that too, and they're just like really out there like shopping for a to find out what they can what they can trade for, you know, in a way. Like, did you notice
Yeah.
that?
You mean with the countries abroad? Yeah.
Well, that too, especially that I would say,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think in general, yes, but
yeah,
especially with the ones abroad, because you've got to remember some of these countries are more on the developing side.
yeah, yeah.
So, like, if you're a guy from like Canada or you're a guy from the UK or the USA or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like, you're in a really well developed country.
Yeah,
So you've already got that
yeah,
pedestal
yeah,
almost, like
yeah.
that
Oh, God.
they're putting you on. Like,
Oh,
so
yes.
it actually goes in the reverse because if we spoke about before, like a lot of guys put girls in the pedestal, like the
Yeah,
nines and the tens.
yeah.
So like for that country, you just come in at a like 9 or 10, like.
See, I would be like, man, I don't think you want to rely on that. That seems like a very slippery slope.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, because I know we're going to talk about like marriage and stuff, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying like are those type of girls looking at you in like the way that the UK ones do, or are they looking at more longer term? So it's a slippery slope if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is, man. Because you're gonna start relying on the fact that you're some white guy from the West. Like, whoa, that's you're already like you don't want that kind of dynamics from the beginning. Like, come on, man. You want to always be coming from the frame of like you're the lover, like you're the guy who's fun. It's a good time to hang out
yeah,
with. We're just here to relax to have a good time. Perhaps something else would go further, but you don't want to have the frame from the very beginning. Well, what can this guy do for me? What does
yeah.
he have that I can get? It's like I don't want to be here in that frame at all, and that's what I'm not saying you can't do it or you shouldn't do it, but I'm hearing a bit of that from your experience, like sending your shit down to Philippines. It's like it feels like you're getting a little bit of that frame from the beginning, and I don't want that. And I noticed that too, swiping on with some of the older girls too. It's like I was feeling that frame right from the beginning of like, well, what
Yeah,
like I'm looking to get married and this, and it's like just feeling that frame is just like, whoa, like, I, I don't want that frame on me.
I feel that's just because the conversation went on though. Like I felt from the get go, there's always going to be a little bit of that, right?
Mm.
But they'd be more just willing to meet you, just the time half, right? But here's where the crunch comes in. I think after that, then they'd be looking for more. So then you would have to close it down and say, I'm not looking for more.
Hold on, say
Yeah.
say that part again.
Oh, you can hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I just missed a little bit of it there. Just make that point again.
Yeah. So the point I was making was like it's just because the conversation went on because like say I was over there,
Mm-hmm.
like they were willing to meet from the get go.
Right.
So we could have met, had fun, went out,
Yeah.
like just kind of like a casual thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then the big crunch would come.
Yeah.
So it's just the same as back home, but then there would be a bit more pressure because they would maybe be looking for something more longer term.
Yeah.
So you would have to make that really clear.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Like,
yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. I hear what you're
yeah,
saying. They're still willing to come out and whatnot, and
yeah,
it's really just even okay. I hear what you're saying is they are still willing to come out for that fun adventure, and just
yeah,
because they want to bring around that more pressure, you can still just dismiss that like any old time.
yeah,
It's like fine, and it's like even if she's trying to put that on you, it's like yeah, we're not having that. You can still come out for the adventure, but it's just like none of this. And I think you're right. I think they'll still be like, well, the adventure's fine.
yeah.
Right? It's like they're still gonna do that. It's just like, yeah, you're right. The adventure's fine.
Yeah, but I think it's harder because there's different things that go down there. The language, for a start.
Mm.
So like because there's a language barrier, like there'll be like obstacles along the way that like you'd be able to explain to someone in English, like, and go into detail. Like, so there could be a misunderstanding that so you would have to be really clear, like, which I mean, like, most people can speak a little bit of English and stuff like that, so it wouldn't be a problem. But I'm saying you would still have to make sure that they know what's going down. Yeah.
But you know what? I
Like,
guess what we're getting at here too is like a deeper point of like, there's always these dynamics at play, and
yeah,
what we're seeing here is just a more like obvious example of it. But there really is always that example. Like a girl's always looking for what she can sort of get, like what she can trade for, like what can she kind
yeah,
of get. Like she's always going to be doing that, and that's just nature. That's just natural. It's like she's not going out and hunting like a buffalo. Like she ain't doing that. So I mean, she's always
yeah,
looking for what she can. Like she has her looks, she has her femininity, she has her potential to like bear children. Well, yeah, she's looking for what it's like. She's looking for where's the best deal, where's the best genetics, where's the best deal for what I have. Like, and that's a little bit crass, but that's just reality. Like at the most base level.
yeah, yeah. It makes sense, but like when you take it back to like the old times, like when we're going to like the hunting gatherings and all that, like men could get away with not looking after the children.
Oh
Like from
yeah.
our perspective, yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm saying we could just be going around, like we could have different kids, different women, stuff like that, and we could just be getting on with our life.
Oh
But
yeah.
for the women, the guys a much bigger deal
Oh yeah.
because like especially in the olden times, like if she was left to look after that child herself, the child suffers, she suffers.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't have enough food coming in.
Oh yeah.
So I'm saying a lot of it's still biological. A lot of
Oh
it's like
yeah.
yeah,
Oh for sure. And she.
yeah, we're civilized, but a lot of it's still biological from the mindset.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. And she's taken a huge hit on her value
yeah,
by having a kid. Like as
yeah.
soon as she pops out one kid or two kids, her like marketplace value goes down immediately a couple of points right off the bat
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
a lot of the top tier guys are not interested in a girl that already has a kid by another guy. That's just the
I'm not.
I'm not. That's
Yeah,
just the bare bones of it. Like there's like an evolutionary like driver that like it's like a guy wants to make sure he doesn't raise someone else's offspring. It's like an inherent driver that's like I don't want to raise someone else's kid. I don't want to do that.
yeah. I mean, like some guys like want to do it and stuff like that. Like that's fine, but like for me, I would even get in a relationship with that person in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like so that's already like so. I would still casually go out with them and stuff like that, but
Sure.
it would be very clear that like nothing's going further because for me, like, and I think you're a bit like this as well because you're on the same path as me on this. Like, if I was to go further, then I'm getting put in a position where I should never have been put in because like I'm because say I was in a relationship, right? I would never be able to be in a relationship and not have to take care of that kid. Even if she said no, it's fine, you don't have to bother with.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to at some point.
Yeah. It's just there's no way around it. There's no
Yeah.
way around it. It's gonna end up being your problem. It'd be like if she bought like a really exotic sports car. Like she bought like an antique Ferrari. And she was just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're never gonna have to even worry about it. I'm just gonna buy this antique Ferrari." Let me tell you something. It's gonna end up being your problem.
Yeah. Once the windows get broken.
Once there's a problem with the engine, you're gonna have to pick her up somewhere and tinker with this stupid thing. And no, just no.
Yeah. And that's best case scenario if they're saying you don't have to like.
Oh yeah, right.
But really, that's not genuine to me because really what they're doing is they're actually bringing someone in that might because this could be a problem. That could be someone that's quite naive, and they're thinking, no, I'll not have to really bother with that, right? but deep down they know that he might have to borrow a little bit. They're just playing it nice, yeah. But the truth is, like, I'm working late today. The kids at school. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just got to shut it down. Yeah,
Yeah, no, you don't want to be doing that. And it's just, yeah, no, it's two different games, man. The male path and the female path are totally different paths, man. Here's a quick question I have for you, man, because I've been
yeah,
wondering this lately, and I've been wanting to ask another guy about this. Now, this is a very like high end point here, and I don't quite grasp this, but I want to hear your opinion on this.
mm-hmm.
So, like guys, really high level guys that marry women with a kid that already have a kid from another guy and raise
Yeah,
the kid, but the guys are really high level. Example: Joe Rogan, Brian Rose from London Real,
yeah,
and even Ashton Kutcher. So I don't quite see. This must be an even higher paradigm. It must be. These guys must be operating from an even higher paradigm as you and I. Now, you and I are operating from the, generally speaking, the correct paradigm. We're both, generally speaking, we are definitely on the right path and correct. But there must be this like little bit of a
yeah.
higher nuance that we aren't quite getting. So I don't quite know how that makes sense. I have a few ideas, but what do you think about that?
It's quite interesting because, as you're saying it, those guys are very high level.
Oh.
Like just overall, like they're just killing it. Yeah, like, but it wouldn't make sense for them. So I don't know their whole backstory. So the first thing that comes to mind is maybe at that point in their life they weren't high level.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something that comes to mind right away. Like,
Okay.
I'm I'm I know Ashton Kutcher. He's been married a couple of times, hasn't he?
I
I'm sure he has. Like,
he was
I'm sure he's had different marriages.
yeah, well he was married to Demi Moore, and he's an
Yeah,
interesting case because that was, see, I really don't, that just even him alone is a very interesting thing because here you've got an extremely high level, like the absolute like top 1% of guys, millionaire, multi, I mean he's got to have 50, 60, 80, 100, like I mean he's extremely wealthy, A-list celebrity, extremely good looking, tall, massive fame. It's just very interesting. I'm not sure how you make sense of that. And the guy who then marries.
yeah,
All due respect here, I just want to say this. All due respect to all these guys we're speaking about because I love these guys, especially Rogan and Brian Rose. All due respect, and I don't fully understand it, and I'm sure that there is a sensible explanation. This is just for the sake of us discussing things and figuring
yeah.
things out a
Talking
bit.
about yeah,
Yeah. So, but even say Ashton Kutcher, like, I'm not quite sure how that makes sense because he married a girl who's quite a bit older than him, quite a bit, like
yeah,
10 or 15 years at least. I mean, maybe more with an entire family already. I'm not sure, man. I don't quite know.
yeah. I'm not really sure on that answer either because I think it could vary with each of those individuals. Like, but like I say, the first thing that comes to mind is that maybe they weren't at that high level
Right.
when they married. Like, because that would make sense. But because, like, especially if they're committed to marriage, because that's something they think. Okay, I've married the girl. Like we've been going out for a while, so like I'm happy with her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not maybe overall happy with the situation, but
Mm.
okay, I made a mistake.
Mm.
Let's just move on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like, and they're killing it, right?
Right.
Like the other thing could be is like with those guys in particular. I don't think it's the case,
Mm.
especially with Rogan. Like,
Mm.
who's the other guy you mentioned?
Brian Rose from London
Right.
Real.
Yeah, so I know him a bit, but not too much.
Mm.
And then as a future, but I'm saying sometimes because they've got this fame and because their job's high level,
Mm.
they get a lot of high level opportunities.
Mm.
So, but they're maybe not that high level.
Hmm.
So,
Mm.
so like, although it appears that they're high level, maybe they're a bit lower.
Mm. Mm.
Like, but that still wouldn't make sense because we're lower,
Mm.
but we still wouldn't go to
Mm.
that degree. Do you know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm.
So
Mm.
probably that one doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
but I'm just trying. Because it happens quite a bit actually. Like
Matt
with those
Damon,
guys. Yeah,
similar. Yeah.
yeah, Matt Damon. Yeah,
Yeah. So I
like
don't. I mean, that's just an interesting. That's just an interesting little side point, and I don't because I don't think that this is just like your base level. This is not just base like chode behavior. That's not what it is.
no,
It's a totally different thing. So it's just there must be this other level of like from a certain perspective of a really high level guy in a certain perspective it must in a way make sense to raise this person. Perhaps there are circumstances that led to this her being a single parent that maybe also it created some circumstances where it allowed her to increase it maybe drove her to increase her value. Perhaps that's a
yeah,
thing. Perhaps her having the child, maybe the father left totally out of the picture and she was forced to like produce more value for herself and just maybe she just improved her behavior big time and just improved her the way that she was able to interact and treat a man, and that in itself was like more than say some other random girl who just whatever was just hot and didn't ever learn those lessons. I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there.
yeah. That's a possibility. As you're saying that those women aren't just like your average ones with the kids. Like those ones are like high level
Hmm.
that they actually make men sacrifice like some of
Hmm.
their own
Hmm.
mindsets. Yeah,
Hmm.
like I that one still puzzles me though because like I
Hmm.
could see where that's going,
Hmm.
but even for myself, like I still wouldn't go there. Like,
For sure. I hear you. Like for me, it's just a thing where it really would be irrelevant. I just it's just like a hard and fast like. But I don't know because that's what I tell myself now. I would just tell myself it's just a deal breaker. It's like with all due respect again, but it's like I kind of see it like as if she just like had a coke problem. But I know it's a different thing. But it's just like there are certain things that are just like it's just a deal breaker. I'm not going to do that. Like anyway, I don't know.
yeah, but I mean, like if I think of examples, I'm just saying, like there's Kim Kardashian, right?
Hmm.
So she's a good example because she's got all these like. For me, it's still a no,
Yeah, I know.
right? So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like it's not even definitely cuz I just all I see is a hassle. All
yeah.
I see is just something that's not worth it. It's just going to be a hassle. You know what? Because I could because I could
You don't
just
you don't want Kanye turning up at the door.
it's just
Yeah,
too much. I don't want any of it because I know at the end of the day, I can always just sit back and read a nice book and just look at the sunset and enjoy myself on my own. And some other girl is going to come along that's just much less problem. That's how I see things, and that's what's valuable to me. And maybe all guys are different, but that's just my perspective. I don't
yeah,
want any of
and
that hassle.
oh yeah, you don't want any hassle. And it goes back. Like, it's interesting though that dynamic plays out. That those guys have made that decision because it doesn't make sense,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And here's another thing. Like, let's say like, a woman's single on her own and stuff like that, right? Out with of a particular situation that the husband like, passed away or something like that, right? Like that makes sense, right? But on a general level, most of the ones that are single, like or like they get divorced and stuff like that, like it's it's because there was an issue with the relationship, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But but what but what does that say? Because
Yeah.
what that says is they were in a real like maybe it was committed, maybe it wasn't, but they made a decision that was a big decision.
Hmm.
It wasn't just like a small like
Hmm.
oh they were just going out for a couple of months. Like they actually brought a child into the world. whether it was like through marriage and then they get divorced, or whether it's like a one night or something like that. But what it presents is like why they're not with that person now. Yeah. So it creates a red flag already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
So
yeah, and this is it, right? It's like those couple guys we talked about. I think that's a very rare circumstance. That's a very nuanced. That's a very specialized circumstance where that kind of makes sense,
yeah.
but it's not at all the norm, right? It's not.
No.
It's not the norm is just what we see all the time. Just a mess. Just she has a kid with this guy, gets divorced because it was inconvenient, then just looks for another guy to just fill the hole, raise the kid, attention. And that's what I think you and I are saying. Like, we don't want anything to do with that at all. Like, it's just a total deal breaker. Like, 100%. Like, that's what I see.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're already setting yourself up for failure, I think. Because like she's already failed once. She's already failed once. So then like why would you like, you always want to start a race, like say you were going to run a race, right? Say you were going to run like a big race, like you wouldn't go if you were injured. Like say you broke your leg, you wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm still going to run the race." You would just say, "Well, I can't race.
Can't
I'm not
do
going
it.
to go for it." Yeah. So it's kind of like that. Like so really, you're going in with one leg broke. That's the way I see it. Like it's not a good start. Yeah.
100%, man. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
But it is interesting though because like I think it's just one of those ones that like especially when guys start to go older because like a lot like this is what happens as well. Like I found it's easier, but I know a lot of other guys find it harder. Like to for the ones that like say the girls are younger and stuff like that, they find it harder to like the ones that are 21, 22, harder to communicate with. I don't find that at all. I find that a lot easier now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so weird. Like, man, when I was going out hardcore, like, I haven't gone out much in the last year or two,
Yeah.
which is fine. But I put my time, I put a lot of time in, and like, oh man, like it's just like it's just what I kind of notice now that I'm getting a little bit back into it, and like like meeting a lot of the older girls too. It's like it's like it's still a lot of like I thought it would be less hassle. I thought they would be
Yeah.
less hassle. That's why I was like willing to do it because I was like, oh, they'll be more civilized. It'll be less hassle. But in a strange way, it's like it's actually more hassle. And
Oh yeah.
it's like what the fuck? Like this is not. It's like a few times I've had that where I've like hung out with a girl who was a bit older, like in her mid 30s or something. And it's like it just felt like a big hassle. Then I go, I'm just like, okay, let me hang out with this other girl who's in her 20s, and it's like, oh, like way less hassle, and like way more like. So it kind of makes sense. Like I hope we're not like, it's just I don't know, strange.
Yeah. I think the older ones are more serious.
Yeah,
That's the first big difference.
yeah.
Like they're more serious. They're looking for something more settled to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got all these boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like I don't want that. Like.
But with the younger ones, like I think especially because like when you start getting older, like the younger ones don't see you as someone that they can connect with. They just see you as like, all right, that's that cool guy. All right, like I'm not that like So I'm saying, so they start going into your frame almost. They start going the way that you're wanting, just a casual thing, just have fun. Like
That's what's so funny. It's like they almost like automatically just put you in this like, oh, he's just like this funny guy. He's just like that. It's like they almost like as like a byproduct, they just kind of put you into like the lover adventure category. It's like, oh, he must just be that kind of guy. He's not the kind of guy who wants to get married or wants to have a girlfriend. He's just like that. And it's like they almost do a lot of the work for you. It's so fucking strange.
Yeah. And that makes sense in a way because like totally different stages of our lives, like right?
Mm-hmm.
But like we're still at the same stage on that aspect.
Yeah.
So then it clicks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. Like it's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's so
Yeah.
fun, and it's funny too because like there's the added benefit that like a lot of times in the back of their mind they're still kind of sort of thinking, oh, maybe I can get him to be my boyfriend. It's so weird. They even
Yeah.
it's like it's still kind of there. It's so weird. It's like even like Dan Bilzerian or something. Like those girls still think, oh, I bet I can make him my boyfriend. Like
Yeah.
I bet I'm the one. And it's like so fucking crazy. It's so funny, man. The dynamics are so funny. It's like the more like just blatant and obvious he is about just like, no, I just want loads of hot girls. I don't even want to consider anything. I don't even want you fucking sleeping over. I don't want you even having my number. I don't even want you texting me like any of it. It's like the more he's like, in fact, I'm just gonna post pictures everywhere with me with loads of girls, and I don't even want to be known for anything else. And it's like the more he does that, the more they're actually like, oh, I bet secretly he does want to get married. It's like, it's so fucking funny. I bet I'm the one that he's gonna marry. I bet you I'm the one that's so fucking funny.
Yeah. I mean, I did stop sharing that though because that did cause problems. Like when you put pictures up of someone you're out with and that, like because I I, I felt it wasn't a good vibe. That's just for me, but it totally worked for him. But I'm just saying, for me personally, it did cause hassle that I didn't want.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
me too. It's so funny, man, because we are both at very similar levels of game, and I hope when all this shit ends, we can link up and go for some kind of fucking tear in
Yeah.
London or something. That would be so sick, because we're at similar levels, because I'm the same. It At the level that I'm at, the level that we're at here, it's not Dan Bilzerian level at all. It's a different level,
No.
and you're right. It actually doesn't seem to quite serve me either to plaster it all over the place at all because it sort of wrecks the illusion. I'm in this niche, and I think you're in a similar niche where it's like
Yeah.
we're kind of servicing this market where it's like girls like the adventure, but it's like they also like that it's like a little bit kind of like special and like there's a little bit more. It's not like there's nothing there. It's like, oh, we do kind of like each other and this is kind of a good time, and like I know he's probably seen a few other girls, but it's like, we definitely have something here, and like it's kind of nice, and like she's like, I know there's probably another girl, but like she's not that important to him and blah blah blah. But if you plaster it all over the place, it kind of blows it. And then she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it anymore because you ain't Dan Bilzerian. That's the thing. She knows you ain't Dan Bilzerian. So and she's not seeing Dan Bilzerian. So she likes what she has with you. That I think that's what we're saying here.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, and I also feel as if you put up that picture and stuff like that, then you're investing almost in her more, so it puts her off because, like, with Dan Bilzerian, it's hard to hang out with Dan Bilzerian, right? So when he's putting those pictures up, the ones that he's putting pictures up all got access. But with your guys that aren't famous or whatever, like, because this is something I learned a few years ago actually, so I just thought, like if you're putting a picture up with someone that you're out with, then that's almost like a devalue almost because like say you didn't put a picture up, then you don't give a fuck about it, right? So then she's thinking, oh right, so there's almost that more mystery about you as well. So I think it just works better. Yeah. It's like you're saying, we're on similar levels in that regard, I think.
Yeah. If you want to start going that route that Bilzerian's going, it actually might take you a while. You might take a real dip in your results for 6 months or a year or whatever. It's gonna screw your game up for a while until you start to like build up that kind of frame and that momentum of like, okay, this is the kind of guy I am. And if you did that, it probably over time would produce actually more results. And that's why neither one of us are like ultra advanced because we're not really quite there. But I think that it would eventually start to do more results. There would be a tipping point where it's just like, no, this is the kind of guy I am, and that's all I'm willing to accept. Whereas both of us, we're just like, well, I'm not really quite that guy. So it's like I'm definitely willing to accept like something cool with a cool girl and we can carry this on and great. Like I'm still meeting other girls, but it's like
Yeah,
this is what I'm at and if she's okay with it, all right, great. So we're both like servicing that market. And it would be a tough sell. Like it would be for me too to just be like cut it all off and I'm only going. So who knows? That's maybe the next evolution, right?
yeah, yeah. But there's also that way of like, is that the way I want to go as well?
That's a good point.
Because like if you take someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could really have that Dan Bilzerian life, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got the money. He's very
Mm-hmm.
high level,
Mm-hmm.
very fitness based, very
Mm-hmm.
athletic and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's had a girlfriend the last couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now she's having to look after his kids from a previous marriage and stuff like that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the point I was trying to make is say he was in with the models and all that and Instagram and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would fit him well,
Right.
right?
Right. See,
But
that's it, right?
and I think in his mind he wouldn't want that either
Right.
because like then he wouldn't be regarded as this top footballer.
Mm.
It's like
Mm.
family man,
Mm.
like then he would be seen for that,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And I don't, and it's not about whether like what people think about you because it doesn't matter, but it's what he thinks about himself because would that be the lifestyle that he wants?
Mm.
Because then his fitness would start to suffer
Mm.
if he's having all the so you've got to everything's got to be balanced.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not every guy wants Dan Bilzerian's lifestyle. That's the thing. They really don't. Not every guy wants that. It's like a lot of guys would care, and in a way, I don't even know if I would. It's like I kind of prefer just having like a couple of different girls that we carry on something that's cool for a while, and maybe after a while it doesn't work out. Okay, then another one comes along, and all right, this is great. For me, I kind of like that because it just seems to sort of work for me, and I don't have to like have that shit splashed all over the place, and so I can kind of get it. I definitely get it. And plus Ronaldo, yeah, then he's Dan Bilzerian. If he had a couple kids running around, those fucking hoes don't want to look after them kids. They're there to party and have fun, like you know. So Ronaldo's got someone who's hanging out with his kids too. So it's a balance.
And I think sometimes you can lose some of the really high value ones.
True.
Because like Dan can really get like, a lot, like relationship wise. I'm talking about really a lot. There'll be a certain percentage that will just see. They'll just look at that, right, and they'll just think that wouldn't be a right fit for me.
Yeah.
And this is years down the line. That's when he starts tailing back and stuff like that.
And he's such an interesting guy because it also I think there was years when he had to push through when he started just doing that Playboy game. I think he had years where it was like it was a lot of 7s and 8s coming through. I think he in his earlier years I think it was a lot of 7s and 8s, and then I think he started getting a few more 8.5s. Then he started getting a few 9s, but he was still getting a lot of 7s. It's not even 7s, say like 7.5s, whatever. It's a whole different game he's in, but he was getting a lot of that. And I think it's only been in the much more recent years that he started getting like consistent like 8.5s, 9s, 9.5s coming through there. So I think it was an evolution for him too, right? Like it was an evolution for him until he started getting that like because now he's at the absolute peak. But it wasn't right away because I've even heard him say whenever that was, might have been on London Real, whenever it was he was talking about it, when he goes, man, I'm even surprised. He said the last couple of years, the caliber of women coming through here. Because I think he's even starting to think like, wow, these are just like the absolute peak that the fucking country has to offer are coming through here. And he's like, woo, like, this is just like, you'd love to have this girl as like your girlfriend or something. He's like, these girls are like coming through here like once a week, one of these girls. So that's a cool level he's at.
Yeah, because it started off with the typical Miami ones. That like you're sort of typical. Like if you picture the Miami ones and stuff like that, and then he built it up. And as you were talking about with the 8.5s and that, I noticed that he'd done some pics with them himself, and they were travelling together on their own and stuff. I think he went to Greece, he went to Italy, like, and it was the same. It was the same girl a couple of months in a row and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. He's got he gets a little hustles. Like you see, like By the way, we are not hating on Dan. We love Dan. I fucking love Dan. We both love Dan. But I've noticed that too. If you look really into his shit and you see what he's doing, you watch him, it's like you'll see the same couple girls. So once in a while, you'll see like out of the 10 girls, and you really see what they really look like. Not quite in that one photo when they're all on the yacht. It's a professional photo, and they took 100 photos. And you'd be like, oh, you see the mix that he has. Then you're like, oh, there's a 7.5 there. There's an 8. There's an
Yeah.
8. But like you see exactly what he's got going on, and it's like you see like, oh, 2 of those girls actually work for him. 2 of those girls are like his promo girls or his assistants or whatever, and they both have boyfriends. And okay, it's you see behind it, but none of that matters. None of that matters because he's still getting the results. He's still making it happen. But it's just it can be important for guys like us who are students, who are just students of the game, students of life. It can be important for us to just see behind the curtain and just acknowledge what's really happening, not as a hater, but just as doing our due diligence to just know the reality of the picture and just say, okay, great, that's fine. I see what's happening, and this is how sausages are made, man. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you're saying, like, when you actually see, as you're talking about, like, 2 of them work for him and stuff like that, then it makes sense. Then it does make sense. And, I mean, the thing is, he's living his life in his own terms. Like, you can't argue with that. And I know he doesn't put up like as much pictures as he used to now. Like, because I think he used to load up a couple of pictures a month, but now it's like one a month or whatever. Yeah. So like, but obviously he's got his business page and stuff like that on Instagram as well. But like, when you look at that, like, he's doing things the way he wants to do them.
Yep.
And it fits him. It fits him well because now people know him for that. So they don't question it. Like people don't like the girls just see him as that, and they'll still sign up for it. Most will anyway. Okay, you'll lose a couple on the way, but he's not bothered about that because he's not thinking about the future. He's thinking about the present. Yeah.
And he's living his life, man. He could at any point convert to boyfriend mode. He could at any point convert over, and there'd be he's got so much momentum build up that he could today be like, now I want a girlfriend. Now I'm gonna start screening for girlfriend material. It could take him 10 more years of screening through for girlfriends. Not even trying to be a player. He's like, no, now I'm actually screening for girlfriends. Bring this girl in. Okay, she's around for a week or 2. It didn't work. Next. How about this one? Oh, this was a month. Not the right one. Okay, next. He'd be doing that for 10 years just to find okay, now I got it narrowed down to a few. I think this is the one. Okay, great. Ready to be a boyfriend now. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Okay. He's in such that mode now that like that's what you and I think are both trying to do on a smaller scale. Like, we're both trying to do that. It's just on a smaller scale than he is. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That's it. We're just trying to get into a lot of abundance over time. And maybe in the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever, maybe things will start to shift over, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, now we're starting to screen for a girlfriend. Now that's what we're doing. Or if you ever want to get married, who knows? Like, but it takes a long time for a guy, man. It's a totally different timeline than it is for a girl, man. For a guy to get to high abundance and to get high value and shit, and to get into a position where he can pull a girlfriend or a wife, that's a long road, man. That's not an easy thing to do. It takes time.
Oh yeah, it takes for some guys it takes loads of years, like massive amounts of years.
For sure.
Other guys it might take a few years. For some lucky people it might not take that long. Like, but for most guys it's going to take a while. Like especially hard work. But that's where the lockdowns came in good because like I was building up that abundance before, and then obviously with everything shutting down and that, it's something you can't do. But it never bothered me too much, and that like for me that was a good thing because let's go back a couple of years ago, like and say I'd only been in this for like a year and a half, 2 years, like if that lockdown came, I'd been thinking, oh, I'm only going to have a couple of months, and what am I going to do when I go back out? I'd have been panicking a bit, I'd been a bit worried.
Yeah,
right.
I hear you.
Now it's been way over a year, and things aren't fully back to normal. So I'm saying I've had a lot, but the thing is, like, I'm good without them.
Yeah,
now.
me too.
Like,
me too.
And it's almost like that way that I'm just doing my own thing.
Me too.
Like I'm
Yeah.
like as you're saying with the walks,
Yeah.
for me, I go walking as well, but
Yeah. I like
with the
walking.
fitness,
Yeah.
but still doing reading bits of meditation,
Yeah. Me
like
too. Yeah.
uh, family
Yeah,
stuff, like
yeah, yeah, man.
yeah,
It's so good. I think yeah, we're both so lucky that we had already put in a lot of time. So now
yeah,
I'm not at risk. Yeah, I'll be rusty. Even when I start going out a little bit now, I for sure was rusty and I for sure missed a lot of things. But I saw that. I was aware of like, oh geez, look how rusty I was there. But there was I wasn't fundamentally at a complete loss as to how things work because I had such a foundation down. I was like, oh, okay, I sort of remember how it works now. I was like, Jesus, I'm ever rusty, but like, that's okay. Like, I fundamentally get it. Whereas some guy who just only had a few months in, or 6 months, or even a year, it's like he could have just, it could have all been lost. It could have all fell apart, and he may have never really got a hold of things. So,
yeah. Well, I think that as well because I've been out and I've not really been doing many sessions, but I've just been kind of when I've been out and about, like just naturally the way you.
me too.
But
Yeah.
what I've noticed is that like the actual fundamentals are slightly off, right?
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, and when I say slight, I just mean I still know the
I
process,
hear you.
but
No, I hear you, man.
it's the small percentages like you
Yeah, yeah.
didn't pick up on that little thing, right?
And it's
Just because
such a
you're not,
tight. The fucking
yeah,
tolerances are so tight in this game, bro, that a millimeter off is will throw the whole thing off. So you feel it, bro.
yeah. But the big difference I've noticed is like my frame rate away,
Ah.
because like my frame's a lot better.
Mm,
Like when I'm using the word frame, I just mean like the way I'm presenting myself,
mm,
like
mm,
like a lot more masculine.
mm,
That's what
mm,
like a lot more masculine now.
mm,
Whereas like say three like maybe 4 years ago or so, like I was actually going out quite frequently.
mm-hmm,
So like my fundamentals like were just as good as now, being rusty,
mm,
but they were still like they were still pretty good like, fundamentally. But
mm.
like my masculinity wasn't the way it is now because now I can say a couple of like now I can get away with making the odd mistake just
Mm.
like with my words or my vocals because my eye contact's a lot better, like my voice better, like so like all those things come more natural now
Mm-hmm.
that I, they'll allow mistakes. Whereas say you made a like because there was still like back then, although my fundamentals like because all that was off, you do one mistake fundamentally and the whole set's ruined.
Oh,
Now
dude.
that yeah.
I, I,
Now it's more just kind of like it's the small percentages, but they don't really matter now
yeah, I
as
can.
much.
I totally can relate with that whole thing you just said, like 100%. Like a couple of years ago, when I was going out like all the time, like I was going out like man, like so often, like multiple times a week, like for a couple of hours at a time, and like I was everything was so tight. Like my actual like game was extremely tight. Like I knew all the like da 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 say this da 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 say
Yeah,
that da 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 take the number da 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 text this and we'll meet here and da da and then we met then we walk over here and then there's this and I just had it down to such a science and just such a routine but it was very, very like the tolerances were very tight. And like you're so
yeah,
right, like one thing that wasn't quite perfect, and the illusion. It was just like it was just an illusion. It was just all well, maybe that's too harsh of words, but it was very tedious. It was just like balancing, like I
yeah,
was just balancing the fucking game, like oh Jesus, like get the. It was like a fucking circus. It was like a roller coaster, and I was just balancing this girl, like okay, over here, and then it would fall apart, and I'd be like, oh well, and then I would just get another and do the same thing, and that was it, man. That was, and I'm sure I could tell you can relate with this.
oh
And it was
yeah,
like this is a thing that sometimes learning game can promote and produce. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's still fun for a laugh, but like what I really noticed, and that's part of what eventually led me to be like, you know what, just fuck all this because it was in a way becoming more hassle than it was worth. And I was kind of spending so much time and energy like producing these little reference experiences with these girls, these little adventures. And it was like, God, the amount of time and effort and fucking blood, sweat, and tears that went into that. And it was all just like kind of, I mean, it was good for a laugh and it was a good experience. And the girls just kind of had a night. It was just kind of like, they're just like, oh, that was fun. And then they just carry on. It's like, they don't care. And I hear you. Yeah. What I've noticed over, especially over this past year when things have been shut down, is like, I just have like you're saying with the masculinity grounded. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I have a little different perspective on things now, and that's so much stronger. It's like you have like a deeper gear. You have like more power
Yeah,
to your actual game, and then it's not like not quite as important to have every little thing balanced like totally accurately because you're just like, okay, I don't give a fuck really if it's balanced or not, and you just have this deeper gear, and it ends up drawing them in even better anyway. It's a strange life, man.
yeah. Because as you're saying, like, when you've got the fundamentals down, that's when you start getting to the start of intermediate.
Mm.
That's when, like, you actually start getting good. That you think, okay, I'm running this, but the big thing that happens is it becomes robotic, right? Like that
Yeah.
you know A B C D, like you're running through. I do this, I do that, I do this, right? Like, so two things happen. Something throws you off, right? Because that used to like, but you start getting even better with that. Like, for example, the brother comes in, so I'm doing this and doing that, and then the brother comes in, and like, oh wait, I didn't know that, right? So, but then you start getting actually good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I can handle those little
Yep.
obstacles because,
Yep.
right? But you, you're not loose.
Mm.
You're not loose. Like that. I think you can relate, like, because with what you're saying, like you don't come across as this loose and you don't come across as natural
Mm.
because like and they pick up on that because they're thinking, okay, how, like, because this question got asked like a few years ago, but it doesn't get asked now. Well, how often do you do this?
Yeah.
How often do you go out? Right?
Yeah.
That get asked quite a lot.
I
Like,
got that a
and
few times. That was always a sign that something was off. I found it myself.
well, for me, it was a sign that it was good because obviously
Okay.
I'd improved a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
But now it was getting to that static stage that I'm good,
Yeah.
but I don't want to just be good. I want to be better
Yeah.
because, like, it wasn't even good. It was just a good level, like a decent level, like good for myself though. I meant like, but like it's hard to explain. But it's just it's almost like that. Everything's so structured and everything, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I know.
But it makes sense why we structure in the first place because we're doing, like, we're going out every day. We have to do this. We have to say this because so that we have a process and we know what we're actually doing when we're out. But then it gets to a point where, okay, you know what you're doing now. You don't have to really, like, you don't have to be as structured because when you get to that stage that, like, a lot of the things like the eye contact, the masculinity, you keep them grounded.
Yeah, man.
Like, just not coming across as like this nice, like when you've got all those things and they're just happen naturally. The vocals in the process don't matter as much.
I know, yeah, it's so much better. It really reminds me of this really great thing I heard actually once RSD Luke talk about, and he said basically, and this is I think why he was so determined to become friends with Dan Bilzerian and learn what Bilzerian was doing, because Luke was saying one time he's like was down in Miami, you know, when he was going up and down the beaches there, up and down the beach like during spring break, you know, it's just so much people around, and he's like, man, I would spend all day, and I can relate to this, man. You spend all day up and down the beach, up and down the street. You talk to every single person. You produce value. Just be social. Make everyone have good emotions. You collect all the numbers. You have a few Insta dates. Try to set everything up. You work so hard. You put everything into it. And he said, man, you know what? Like, it's like at the end of the day, man, all those girls just wanted to be out in the harbor on a yacht, on the yacht out there, on the big yacht. And they all wanted to be out there anyway. And even though I had spent all day collecting all their numbers, he's like, yeah, a few of them came out. Some of them flaked. And it's like at the end of the day, they all want to be on that yacht. He's like, I could have just fucking got the yacht. I could have just got the fucking yacht and saved myself the trouble of collecting all this shit. and it's true. It's like at some point, it's like sometimes you got to move a bigger gear, man. Sometimes no amount of just walking up and down the beach and collecting numbers and being social and hey, what's up and little witty banter and all this. It's like sometimes just a couple moves in a different direction can make a lot of changes. And I think that's for him when he started to make. I don't know him personally or anything, but I assume that's where he started to be like, I got to change things around here. And you start getting more results for less work, and that's what you're talking about. I think with like the voice tone and like the more masculinity, like you get bigger, better results with less work.
Yeah, that's what I think, because it gets to a stage that if you're going out a lot, like, and you're past a certain point, then it's like why would I go out and do something like it's like let's just say learning the guitar, right? Say you started practicing 6 hours a day learning guitar, right?
Mm.
And you got, so after so many months you would get to quite a good stage in the guitar just because you're practicing so much, right?
Mm.
Now, would it make sense to keep practicing 6 hours a day, or would it make sense to start saying, okay, like, what are my goals here? Like,
mm-hmm.
am I wanting to be the greatest guitarist in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll have to keep practicing 6 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I just wanting to play at the local pub? Like, so, like, that's where the goals all come into, because it's like there's no purpose to keep going out and doing. Like, for me, the purpose was to actually get to a good stage that I can actually socialise. It can be, and like, it can come off quite natural, and it's at a good stage. I wasn't there, so I had to go and put in the work.
Mm.
But once I put in the work and I got there, you can always go back to it. So now I can just say, like, for example, I've not really been out much lately, right? So maybe when things start getting better, I'll just say, okay, I'm going to go out for a couple of weeks hard again. Like, but I can just go on or off it now. Whereas for months I had to go out almost like repeatedly, like every day, like 7 days a week, basically, right? But let's say I was to do that now for a couple of weeks, it makes sense. If I've been rusty, I've been out of it, just to get back into the swing. But I don't even have to do that. But that's just if I want to. Like, but back then, if I didn't go out and put the work in, then I wouldn't have improved. But now, if I just say, oh, just for the sake of it, I'm just going to go out hard for 3 months and just go up and down, like, it's just a bit pointless, because all that reference experience, like, I've got all the numbers.
Yeah.
I've got this. Like, so why don't I just message and say, hey, let's go on the yacht?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but wait a minute, she flakes. Oh, well, I've just bumped into someone on the way. They can come. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't make sense to go out and put hours in, because that's just pointless if you're past a certain point, unless there's a particular reason, like, to go out. Like, maybe you want, like, ridiculous amounts.
Here's what makes sense. Here's what makes sense. You go out for an hour up and down the beach to recruit and collect the girls to come out on the yacht. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
That makes sense. So you're not spending 8 hours up and down the beach to collect all the numbers of all the girls so that they could come out to the beer garden for a beer, or so you can get that girl out the next day for coffee or some shit. It's like, which is what you and I'd be doing. Like, oh, come out tonight for a beer. Well, you stack up those girls. You collect all the numbers. You collect 10 numbers. You get 3 of them to come out that night, one after another. One at 6 o'clock, one at 7:30, one at 9:30. The next day you get another couple to come out. Then you do that every day, and then by the end of the week, some of them are repeating coming out again. Oh, remember you came out on Monday night? We came at 7:30. Oh, come out on fucking Saturday night at 5:30. Oh, okay, and that's how I think probably both of us kind of built our game up, and that's how the girls started to come out. And then this is her second time coming out. Now it's her third, and some of those first girls that now they're texting you back, and you build the momentum up. Now, that's how I built my game, and it sounds like that's kind of how you build yours. Plus, you get the occasional girl that comes on an Insta, and you build up these references. And if you keep doing that over weeks and months and then into years, that's how your game gets better. And that's how I did it. That's the traditional fucking boots on the ground mentality, and that's still good, and you learn a lot. But when you're ready to move up to another level, I think what you start to think is like, okay, let's go use these skills. Let's use this skill set for an hour up and down this beach and invite them all out to the yacht tonight. And whoever comes, great. And now we got a really good ratio. We got a bunch of
Yeah,
girls, we got 2 guys and a bunch of girls on a yacht. And it kind of builds on itself. They're all on Snapchat. And then, okay, cool, see ya. You come out the next night, or you come out the next day up and down the beach again, just for an hour, collect some new numbers, invite them all out that night. Plus, you invite back whichever girls from the first night. A few of them come back out. So you just got this steady stream, and then it starts to build on itself. And I think that's probably the more advanced level that probably Luke started tuning into.
yeah, and it especially makes sense if you're not from Miami. I'm just using Miami for example. Like, say you're not from that location, then it makes sense. Oh, I can go out, I can start gathering numbers, and then I can start doing the yacht, like the ratio, 2 guys, like 8 girls, whatever. Like, then it makes sense. Like, but it would make sense like when you're already building to that, and then just go, like, because let's say you were going out 6 hours a day, right? But you've not got any numbers,
Ooh.
right? No, you're just starting out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then it makes sense because you're gathering references, but you're also gathering details.
That's what you got to do, man. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. But let's say you have like hundreds of numbers in that location because you're from that location or whatever, right? It makes more sense to message them, and then like let's say you're going out like Friday, Saturday, Sunday with different ones. Then it makes sense just to do bits and pieces, like, because you've got so many that you're okay. I'm meeting this person. We're going on that trip. We're going this drive. We're going this, like, we're going hiking. Like, we're doing this. So I think it all, like, this is a big thing for like guys. Like, number one, guys just do too much theory to begin with once they don't go out, right? So like for guys to start with, you have to really put a lot of effort to go now. I mean, I know it can be tricky just now because of the coronavirus, but I mean in normal times, like you have to put a lot of effort to actually go now in the first place and get used to that.
Yeah.
But secondly as well, when you're going out and when you're getting better, then you have to reflect and you have to think, I can put in a lot more quality time in a 2-hour session than going out for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Because that's how guys get burnt out. Because when guys are going out, and I done this bit myself. When you're going out hours a day, you're gathering the numbers, you're doing the dates, like all that. Like, it almost becomes too much.
Yeah.
That just takes over your life.
Yeah.
Whereas you want it to just be part of your life. Like, and at the start, it just can't be part of your life, because if you try to just make it part of your life, it wouldn't be part of your life.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to really dedicate a lot of your life to it. But then once you start getting better and going up, then you can start tailing back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, man. That's all very true. It's like, and just a little side point to that too is what I've noticed is like sometimes, and I'm sure it's happened to you. I mean, it's happened to me. I think it's common. Like, if you just keep pushing with all those more references, more hours, sometimes what ends up happening is like you just kind of get like oversaturated with sometimes like lower level references, and sometimes all kinds of lower level references can sometimes keep you from actually getting like a little bit of a higher level reference. And I've had that happen too, where it's like you just get like hooked on like getting loads of makeouts like at night, just loads of makeouts. Like, let's like, I want to get 5 makeouts in a night. Like, yeah, like that's what I want. And it's like, for me, I got obsessed with that. And it's like, that was like my like measurement of success, where it's like, after a while, it's like, okay, but if you just reduce the number of makeouts, you could actually focus on like speaking to the girl who you wanted to and like getting her out with you. But it's like, rather than do that, you kind of get saturated with like loads of makeouts or loads of phone numbers or loads of like whatever it is, loads of Insta dates. and you can tend to miss the secondary higher level references, and I know I came into that. So
Yeah. I done a lot of that to begin with, like especially more at night actually,
yeah.
because, and that was actually a bit of a fault, like being results orientated,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
but I was never really like that during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just because the dynamics change at night,
Mm.
because at night you can get the results a lot quicker.
Oh yeah.
Whereas during the day it's a lot more of a. I mean, obviously they can come quick, but on the whole it's a lot more slower process.
Mm-hmm.
So during the day it was more just like the actual like, approach numbers and like more that. But at night it was as you're saying, like sometimes like if I was out with someone, we used to run competitions and all that, or who can get the most, and all, like. But for me now that's just silly because
Yeah.
like
Same here. Yeah.
yeah, because it actually just puts pressure on yourself, and then you're actually like as you're saying, you're not going for the quality, you're going
Yeah.
for the quantity. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure. It ends up kind of like you end up kind of wasting your time, and like it's kind of you're missing the forest. You're not seeing the forest for the trees, and like you just end up wasting your fucking time. It's like, oh, I got 5 makeouts tonight. It's like, so what? Like you could have just done something else with your time, or gone home with one really cool girl, and or
yeah,
some
that's
and
the
we've
big
all
one.
had
Yeah,
that. Like there's been so many times when it's like you end up like pulling some girl, and it's like you go back to her place or whatever, and it just you end up like you just reflect on the experience. You're just like, God, that was such a waste of time. Like I think we've all had that where it's like, and then sometimes you have other experiences where it's just a small little interaction, like you just like get a really good set where you just like speak to a girl like under difficult circumstances, like over a rope, and like she's like at a table like with a couple friends, and you like dismiss the friends, and you're like around the waiter, and you're just like digging in there, and it's like you dismiss her fucking some nice guy fucking white knight, and you just get this really good set, and you're just like, yeah, cool, okay, what's your name, okay, great, give me the number, wicked, bye. And you just get it set up like that. And
yeah,
it's like sometimes for me, I've had lots of experiences like that where it's like, okay, that was sick. Like that was sick. That was well done. And it just, that was such a more valuable reference experience. And then like later that night, you just like go home with some girl, and you're just like, that didn't even do anything for me. Like the other one was more valuable. So you start to measure things differently too.
yeah. I've definitely noticed that because like the big difference for me at night is I have to make it like a definite what kind of night it's going to be before I go out. Like, I have to say this is an actual session that I'm going out, and
Mm,
that's what I'm doing,
mm,
or it's more just a casual basis. Oh, I'm just going out and just having fun. Like I can do that more during the day, just like differentiate.
mm,
But like if I was to just say like, oh, I'm going to go out and see what happens, like
mm,
at night, I would just chill because
mm,
I'm not a night person. I
mm,
go to sleep early, so I would
mm,
just be. But if I say tonight I'm going to go out, I'm going to approach everyone I see, like, all that. That's the nights that have always worked well for me.
mm,
But also the nights that I've just made it clear that it's going to be like a casual thing.
mm,
That okay, I can talk to the waiter for 20 minutes, and that's
mm,
not a problem.
mm.
Because if I was going hard, I wouldn't be able to talk to the waiter for 20 minutes. But see the nights that I've said, oh, I'm going to do like this big competition. I'm going. It ends up just becoming forced. Like, and
Yeah.
you don't even. It's as you're saying, you don't even enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like,
It's
and
true.
and the thing I like about night is because I don't do it. Obviously, I've not been out lately because there's no nightclubs open. But like even before like Corona, like I don't go out at night that often. Like unless I'm in certain locations like Vegas or whatever.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
so when I go out at night, I really enjoy it because it's
Hmm.
like a big thing. Yeah, like and the good way. Like, but I mean, there was a certain time where I was going out like Friday and Saturday nights, like sometimes Thursdays as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah, me
yeah,
too. Yeah. Oh yeah. When I first started, I was going out. Like I remember, not to get into the fucking ancient history, but when I first started, man, I was like I went out every single night. It was wild. Like even on the most like driest nights, like it was like Tuesday night. But sometimes
yeah,
that's like the mentality that you need to have. For me, that was the mentality that I needed, man. Like for me personally, like I needed that mentality of like I'm just gonna find the references. Like
yeah,
I don't care where I get them. I need to find the references. I don't care if it's in some fucking wine bar on a Tuesday night at 8:30, and it's the fucking assistant bartender that's like willing to have a chat. It's like I'm gonna find these reference experiences one way or another, and like the truth. And then we'll move on because we've been on for a while, but we'll move
Yeah,
on to something else, or we'll wrap up or something. But to me, that was like that was the mentality that I needed because, and to a degree, I'm still like I was just so disgusted by guys who just always had an excuse, man. It was just like because you can find an excuse, man. You can always find an excuse. You can find an excuse for everything. You can find an excuse why you're not in
definitely.
fucking
Yeah,
good shape, why you can't go for a walk, why you can't do push-ups, why you can't do pull-ups, why you can't eat better, why you can't read a book, why you can't talk to that girl, what a duh, why you can't meet her. You can always find a fucking excuse. And guys, man, generally speaking, and that's why the vast majority of girls don't have any fucking interest in most guys. They're not attracted to most guys at all. They don't fucking want those guys around them because most guys, they just give up and they just won't put the work in and they just fucking, I'm sorry to get just a little bit of a scolding to
yeah,
some of the guys out there, but it's like they just give up, man, and they won't put the work in and they always have an excuse. And it's like, for me, I just always looked at like there's no excuse. Like there's no excuse. Like there's always some way. It's like it's a Tuesday night at 8:30. There's someone. There's some girl who's just leaving her job as a bartender who just happens to be leaving and there's an opportunity. Like there's always there's always some, even if it's just a guy, there's always some guy who's just really friendly and cool, who's a bartender. There's always some group of girls that are just at a work function who would love to meet a cool guy to sort of engage with. And that's just, that'll be my sort of parting little piece of advice here. And maybe you can put one on too, but that would be
yeah,
my kind of stamp on my sort of one takeaway lesson that I took from like over 3 years, probably almost 4 years of learning game from the fucking bottom, start up till now, that I would offer to a guy and be like, dude, take that lesson on board. And it's like that's the mentality. I'm not trying to be brutal. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying this is the reality of life, and like this is the approach that I took. And you don't have to. I'm not saying you need to do that forever, but it's like for a period, you need a period of saturation. You need a period of immersion, so that you get acclimatized to this type of mentality and this type of sort of intention, and that's the type of pattern that it takes, and you want to build that up. And yeah. So any thoughts on
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
then whatever you think.
You've got to have those immersion periods. You
Mm,
really do.
mm,
And the thing with the Mondays, Tuesdays, because I've done that as well. Like
mm,
not like I've done it more on other occasions, but I've still done it here. Like
mm,
just like, when I'm using the days Friday, Saturday, that's been my most days. But I've
oh
still went
yeah,
out those
yeah.
other like I'm talking about night but like because I've done a lot more day, but I've still done a hell of a lot of night as well. But what you find with those nights is the Tuesday night prepares you for the Friday night.
Yes,
No,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
that's normally that's just normally speaking. But sometimes the Tuesday night ends up becoming the Friday night.
But that was still a
Like
really. I just want to hammer on that really quickly. That was a
yeah,
really good point you made. That was a real distinction, and that shows you someone who's put some time in, because you recognize, look, man, those lonely, slow Tuesday nights at 8:30 when you're just making it work. You're in the wine bar and there's four people in there and you're just making it work. You're just finding a way to create good vibes. That prepares you for that Saturday night when nobody else was out there Tuesday night, but you were. And now come Saturday night, it's like, I'm good, man. Let's have at it. So yeah, carry on.
yeah, yeah. Because you would think the Tuesday night's an easier night, but it's actually not, because it tests you more.
Mm,
Like because you'll not be put in as many situations, right?
mm.
But what happens is you've got to keep the motivation high,
Oh yeah.
because like you say there's only 10 people at that place, so you've went round all that 10 people. You're waiting for the next person to come in, and then you're on to high. Like So that's the 11. But like, so there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of waiting about. The numbers are low. There's more focus on you as well. But what happens is you still don't make excuses. You just make the most of the situation. But then when Friday comes in and there's hundreds of people there, then you think, okay, I can, like, and you're ready because you went out those other nights that were harder, but you still get, you maybe spoke to 10 people, so you still get enough momentum behind you. Then you can just hammer in, like, okay, big night, I can go up and dance, I can do this, I can chat to this bit, like, and you, like, it just makes it, like, those nights actually helped you so much. Like, whereas, say you just said, I'm going to go big on the Friday, but you've not been out for the last week, then it's going to be a lot more harder. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more harder.
So give us one, like, just takeaway that you've sort of gathered, maybe one just takeaway sort of point from sort of your time up till now. Just maybe like a key sort of mentality, to see a key like mental direction that sort of kept you going, or that you kind of had that pushed you through those sort of those difficult times or those slow moments. Like what kind of was a mentality that drove you through, man?
Yeah, so one of the mentalities that drove me was the transport of getting there, right? So like I always told myself that if I can actually just get outside and actually travel to the place, that, then that's the bare minimum.
Huh, interesting.
Right?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because I like traveling, right? I like actual like bus journeys or train journeys. So like I always said, right, the journey there is going to be hard because you're going to be a bit nervous and stuff like that, right? Especially years ago, right? But I just said I'm just going to get the bus in. I'm going to go and I'm going to spend a set amount of hours, right? And then I can always enjoy that bus journey home, like because that was my. So then, like because this is what happened, especially at the beginning, because you would go home, like you're going home alone and stuff like that a lot of times. Like then the bus journey home, you said, well, at least I went out. You were always kind of proud of yourself for doing it. So that was the big thing for me because like that's the hard part, actually just getting out in the first place. But what I said to myself is I've got two bus, like I can have a nice bus journey and focus, and then I can have a nice bus journey and relax. Like so, I always told myself I'll have those journeys. Like so, all I have to do is just get on the bus.
Man.
Yeah. So,
yes. Yeah.
So that really kept me going because like when you actually bring it down, like it's only 20 minutes bus journey to get to the place, and then it's only 20 minutes back. It doesn't seem like a lot. So like when I was just like telling myself that, it seemed like, oh, it'll be a quick night. Because like, some nights like you were buzzing to go out, you're saying, oh, like, especially the Fridays and that. But then when the Tuesday night comes around, you're like, or the Wednesday or whatever, like you're kind of thinking, nah, I don't like, because I still thought that. I still thought, right, I don't really feel like going, but I've told myself I'll go, so I'll enjoy the bus journeys. So like, that kept me going. Yeah.
Wow.
Like and that's more especially at night because especially at night you're tired before you go out sometimes as well. Like like because during the day it was a lot easier to get out because like everywhere's busy. Like it's not dark. It's not like whereas when you're maybe leaving your house at 9 p.m. like and everyone's watching like maybe they're watching a film or they're doing like and you're kind of like I don't feel like going out. I really don't. Like, but then you still go out. You like once I left that house and I was walking to the bus stop, I'm fine. Like maybe I'm a bit nervous and stuff, but like that was enough for me to know I'm going out. Like I never turned back after that. Well, apart from once when the train was cancelled. Like one time the train like I think it was snowing one day and the train was cancelled. So then I said, oh, all right, I'll have to just go out a bit more tomorrow or something. Yeah. I think I just done that.
No, like, man, you
like that like there's going to be exceptions that you are allowed to stay in.
No, man, you put the time in, man. I can tell by all these little nuances of things that you're saying. It's like it's just firing off memories and recollections of myself on the journey, and it's so true, man. What you said there is so true. Like it's just like I can even remember for me too, it was just these tiny, 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 tiny steps of like, well, let's just hop in the shower.
Yeah.
Let's just hop in the shower. Either way, that's a positive. Like you'd had a shower. It's Thursday night. Just hop in the shower and we'll see after that. I was like, I have the shower. I was like, okay. Like, let's just brush the teeth and floss and use mouthwash.
Yeah.
Let's just do that, man, and we'll just see from there. You're like, okay. It's like, you've got to put something on. You've got to put some clothing on. You just go ahead. You might as well just put the jeans on. Just put a shirt on. Put a nice shirt on. Just go ahead, and we'll see from there. And I would often kind of lead myself up, like, I'm like, look, man, you don't even have to go anywhere. Let's just put the clothes on. And I'd be like, look, man, let's get in the car. Let's just go for a little drive. We'll just take a little drive down there. Just get yourself down there. Just all you need to do is just get out of the car, take a little walk up and down the road, maybe say hi to one person, and just that's all I'm saying. Give it a shot. Be like, okay, and I'd get over there, and it was just, to me, it was really like these small, small chunks, man. I'd get over, I'd be like, feel, and I used to always say this thing of let's just feel the streets, man. Just feel the streets, bro. You just feel it. And I'd get out there and I'd just feel the vibes a little bit. I'd be like, okay, like, look, man, there's a little beer garden. It's like, just poke your head in. That's a win. You just poked your head in and it's a win. And there you are. Now you're in. Okay, cool. Get yourself a water and just post up and just for a minute. You can leave right after this. Leave right after this. You can go right back to the car, get in the car, put on a nice fucking Eckhart Tolle podcast, and just be nice and relaxing. You can drive home, get your sleep, and it was a win. And I literally like built my game like that, man. And like sometimes I would build like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour night sometimes like that. And I would get out of that beer garden. I'd be like, look, we'll just walk up towards the main road there. We'll just walk up that way. And so you'd get a little set going. You'd be like, yeah, we'll just carry. Oh, okay, you guys are going to. I'll come in this little bar with you. At least it'll get me in. And now I'm in. Okay, I'm in. And just like over time, like you just build it up like that. And it's like, you just become that kind of person who's able to do it. And the other thing is you realize, you realize that just putting yourself in the marketplace is a big step. Putting yourself
100%
into that marketplace and sustaining yourself in that marketplace, sustaining your cool, holding your frame in the marketplace and feeling the vibes and getting to some other marketplaces is such a big part of it because a lot of guys are not even doing that. They're at home, they're playing video games, they're wrapped up with some girl who's abusing them, they're stoned, they're drunk out of fucking some stupid pub. A lot of guys are not even out there. And B, a lot of guys that are out there are not out there with an intelligent mentality. They're out there just kind of doping around, drinking beer with fucking Joey and their buddy fucking Billy, and they're just having a little fucking lads night out laugh, and that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. And you realize you're putting yourself in a different category. You're coming out in the marketplace with a mentality, with an intention, and you're putting yourself in a position to capitalize at the very least. And just that is saying something. And you gain a little bit of respect for yourself. And like, it just puts you in a little cut above. Like you were willing to do something that's difficult. Like you came out, with your fishing rod, man. You came out with your bow and arrow, bro. And you came over to where the fucking buffalo are. And you had the bow and arrow and the shit was sharp. And at least you were in a position to hunt. And sometimes the difference between success and failure is that thin, man. It's razor thin. And like, in life, like you got to put yourself in a position to even have that opportunity to hit that buffalo. And you keep doing that over time and you get better at it. And you start to get results and it exponentially grows. And so, man, huge respect for your journey, man, and my journey. Like we both took it, and I think it's cool, man. It's good, and then we can relate on that, and
Yeah, because we seem to have a similar journey. Just even the way you're talking about the showers and all that went through my mind as well when you were telling, because I if I one thing is if I got a shower, I knew I was going to have to change clothes. So what happens when you come out of the shower? You're going to have to put on the jeans, the shirt, and stuff like that. So see, once you put those on, you know you're going out, right? Right? But because that's another thing. Say I put a shirt on, a new shirt, right? Like if I put that on, I would say, well, it has to get washed now. Like, yeah. So, and here's another point. Like just when I was thinking of it, me and you went out like solo quite a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See that's a big advantage because I've even heard like these are coaches saying like, your time.
Sorry, just repeat that part. Just repeat that part. You cut out there. Just repeat that last part about.
Yeah. No, I was just saying like I even know a couple of coaches who like always advocated or like, most of the time go out with groups and then just do a bit, but a couple of years later they actually flip the switch, right? Because obviously they're coaching and improving the real life. Because I think 80% go out yourselves the best, and then 20% because you can always learn from other people, right? But as you're talking about, see Joey and the boys, like Joey wants to go out and get into this, right? But he's still going out with his friends who aren't into it.
Not going to work.
So then he just falls. That's not going to work because he just falls into bad habits. Oh, let's do the shots. Oh, let's just stand. Like, yeah. So like, I think like, but say one of his friends was into it, they could go out. They could go out on their own. They could go out separately, but also together. Mm-hmm. That would work. Yeah.
Go out alone if you need to. If anything to separate yourself from fucking Joey and the lads. Go out alone if you have to. If you can find another guy who's serious and you guys can go out together, that's fine. That's great. But don't let anything stop you. Do not let anything stop you, and be perfectly willing to go out alone. Perfectly willing.
Yeah. Well, that's the big point. Yeah, because even if you've got someone that's willing and maybe at the same journey as you or the same level as you, that's great in itself. But don't rely on that, because say you rely on that, right? They might be studying for exams on the Thursday, right? So they think, okay, I'm just going hard on Friday and Saturday. Like, so the point I'm trying to make is you'll not always be able to go out with them.
And here's a little point.
Yeah.
Here's this little point too. It's like, look, it's not like a bunch of girls that go out together. It's not like that. It's like you and I are out together. Yo, Ritchie might have to leave at the drop of a hat with no warning to me. He might just, we're hanging out and boom, opportunity, girl, yeah, let's go. And he just has to go. He's not saying anything to me. He's not saying he might just have a quick, like, yeah, I got to go, bye. Because there's no time for that. It's like, yeah, we're out together, but we're both ready to go. We're both ready at the drop of a hat. Either one of us sees an opportunity and we're bouncing, because that's what the game's about. Of course, then you've got this added bonus, because I've never really had much of opportunity to go out with a guy, like another legitimate guy. I had very slight here and there little opportunities, but it also creates a lot of new opportunities, because now you've got another guy who's competent, and the two of you guys can work together now. So you don't always have to be thinking, oh, I just got to bounce and go. You can start to work together being like, hey, just hang out here with my bro. Bring your friends. Okay. And now let's all relocate up to blah, blah, blah. This park that's really nice. This waterfront. This late night place we know that's really nice. Back to fucking Ritchie's apartment that has got a really nice new album we want you guys to listen to. You've got these new opportunities. And so that's if you've got a competent guy and you guys are on the same page and you can develop some rapport together, your results can really improve.
Yeah. Well, I'd have some of those guys, but not at first. This was like a year and a half into the journey. Mm-hmm. So at first I had to just go out myself for a whole year, basically. Mm-hmm. The only exception was once it got to the year period, like some nights I was just going out just like for a bit of fun, but those guys were more like natural guys I was going out with, so I was still learning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But on the whole, I was just going out myself. Or actually, what happened is sometimes you bumped into guys that that weren't on that self development journey, but like you just bumped into them during the night, but you thought that's a cool guy,
I know.
and you maybe learn a thing off.
Yeah,
so you maybe just hang about with them for like half an hour or whatever, and you learn a thing or two. So that happened quite a lot as well.
Mm.
And sometimes actually the girls that introduce you to these guys. Yeah.
Mm. Oh yeah.
So maybe she. Yeah. So you meet a lot of interesting people when you're out.
Yeah, like, totally.
Yeah. And that's the big difference for night, because that's another thing is we're going back to the online, like more guys actually start their journey at night as opposed to day.
That was never the case. Oh yeah,
like,
big time.
But a lot of guys say, "Oh, day would just be so much harder." I think night's harder. I actually think night's harder. Even to this day, I'm still more. I like to just go out, relax. I think it's just because I've been out so much during the day. I just think night's more of a procedure.
It is a procedure.
Even now, but
it's much more of a procedure. It's much more of an undertaking. It's the timelines are much different. Like the timelines are much different. It's like the like buying temperatures are much more chaotic, and like the different vibes of the night you have to catch on to. It's a different skill set. It's a different skill set than the day, and like especially if you can get into a big city, like the opportunities of the day are just huge. Like and you can just hammer out like multiple hours of day game, and like you can get loads and loads of approaches, and just like you can really develop just like a really sick game, and you just get really good at it, because also like a lot of the girls have a similar vibe in the day. A lot of times they all have a similar vibe that you can kind of, and if you have tight game, especially if you have kind of, if you just have tight game that you can kind of just open maybe explosively a little bit, or it doesn't even have to be explosive, but even if it's just kind of, you can just be casual and cool and just put a little intent on there, there's no other competition. So a little intent, like just being a little bit of a cool guy and showing a little intent, it can be quite clear to her, like, oh, I see. And then then you can just get, and once you get good at like the logistics of like, oh, cool, great, let's exchange numbers. And you just start racking them up, and you start to get into the pattern of it. And so I really see the draw of the day. It's really a draw. There's much less competition. There's much less distraction. There's still loads, especially in a big city, like not as much in a small city, but especially in a big city, like loads of girls around.
Yeah, it's turnover's high. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, turnover. It's like, and it's just a good vibe. And like, at night, the thing too about night is like, like, it's like going into like a really like competitive like boxing ring or something. It's like, it's like you're getting in there with like the girls are dressed up, they got makeup on, they got high heel shoes, they got short skirts, they got fucking glitter in their face, they got 4 or 5 or 6 friends all dressed up as fuck. They're all out. They're ready to be mean to other girls and to guys. They've got their mentalities on. The lights, the music. They're going from one bar to another bar to a club. Her friend wants her to come this way. This friend's birthday. That one's mean. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot going on. So it really builds up like your just ability to deal with loads of different shit.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I know you were using the boxing analogy, but I'm saying you can actually get knocked out at night. Like, I don't mean literally. Well, you could get literal as well. If you
No,
get
I
a
hear you
marker or
though. I
whatever.
hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I hear what you
But
mean.
yeah, but like it's just that like there's that spotlight that like I think you get away with more during the day than at night. Because at night you're just like anyone else at night.
I know.
Like you're
I know.
like whereas during the day you're that that's that guy. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't happen to me.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
at night, that's the 20th guy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I think the transition's a lot easier from day to night.
Hmm.
But the only I think day's just easier just because it's easier to actually do. I think that's
Oh,
what
I
I
hear
was
you.
leaning
Yeah,
for. Yeah,
there's a lot more barriers to entry at night. It's late, it's cold
yeah,
and wet. You got to wait like low, especially if you're on your own. This was the big thing for me that was such a killer. It's like, oh man, this is what made it so hard for me on my own. It's like you could be from say like you could be from like 7 or 8 o'clock when like you're done dinner and
yeah,
you're done like everything from your day. You took a shower. It's like 7:30 and like the bars don't even really like the people aren't even really out till like 11 or midnight. And you
yeah,
got this huge stretch of time between like 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30 where you got like the fuck are you going to do? Like you got to keep the energy up somehow and then at 11:30 you got to go out and be ready to go from 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, who knows how long. And so there is that real big barrier to entry and it's like all that just to like collect some of these reference experiences and be out there in the thick of it. So I think again that's where it would really help if you had another guy or two. You could meet, and this is where it came in handy when I met the guys from the inner circle. Even
yeah,
though a lot of those guys were draining and were really they were total beginners, and in many ways it didn't even benefit me to be around them. But the good thing about it was it gave us an opportunity to say, hey, let's meet up at 9:30 and spend 2 hours chatting like we're just chatting, speaking
yeah,
about subjects, having a coffee, talking about things, reflecting on each other's experiences, sharing stuff. And then by the time we just hung out for 2 hours, it's fucking 11:30 and we're ready to go. And it puts us in a better mindset because the girls been out doing the same thing. They've been getting together with their friends, doing each other's hair, smearing fucking makeup on each other, gossiping, firing each other's emotions up, listening to
yeah,
music. Oh my God, you're so pretty. Yeah, so are you. Da, da, da. They're all ready to go. And it's like they're looking for other guys that have been together doing cool shit. So when we come out together after spending 2 hours being productive together, it puts us in a better mindset, I think.
yeah. There was another circle here as well that I used to go to, like, but it was quite a small group.
Mm.
But like a lot of the guys, like one guy was going somewhere after to like a bar, another guy didn't have his passport, so like because it always started off in like a little bar and there was a little discussion for like an hour. I don't know if that was the same over there,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it was all more like theory based discussion,
Oh, fuck.
and then
Oh,
then
yeah.
you start going
Oh,
out.
then everybody got to
Yeah,
go all of a sudden. As soon as things get real,
yeah,
everybody got to go. They're busy. I got to go.
yeah. So, so,
Oh, I don't
so
go. I
what's
don't go out. I just talk about things.
yeah. So then you used to go out in the street and do it like for half an hour, and
Yeah.
then but it ended up just being me and the actual leader going to the nightclub like
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
So that was cool because then you're getting like one coaching basically. Yeah,
That's
but
dope.
like most of the times like, I remember one night in the summer I went and like that was a chaotic night. There was like 20 guys turned up, but like and then another like five came after and all that like and like the big thing for the leader was you can't drink alcohol. and and then this guy came and he says, you know what? I'm drinking alcohol if I want to. He was dancing away drinking alcohol. But because he was telling me this, he was saying, I know you're not supposed to drink alcohol, but he says, I broke the rule. He says, I've got to keep going. Like, and do you know what? Like, he was drinking alcohol, so he shouldn't have done that if the leader said no, right? But like that guy was actually having fun. He was up dancing. Like, he was trying his best, but like, obviously the alcohol played a part. Like, so like he made a mistake there, but like but then it all started coming downhill here. then it started like there was a few media things at the time and stuff. So then it started getting portrayed in the wrong way and stuff. So like the, the, this this was maybe about 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Like so they don't run now here like as much, but there is a WhatsApp group that some guys meet up, but more in different cities. So
Yeah.
but yeah, they're good to try and good to get kind of in with people just like, that you can pick up in different things and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I'd be less interested to meet with like a whole group of guys. Like I'd be down to like meet with the group and like find out like the one or two guys who are like legitimately keen and then go doing something with them. But I don't really want to be a part of like the big like running camps and stuff. Like I just think it causes too much drama. It's too much attention. Like I'd rather just meet up with like one other guy. Like the amount of progress you and I could make together is like
Yeah,
we're good, man. We don't need a bunch of other guys. We're good. We can do loads on our own. If there's someone else who is serious, prove it. Show us. If not,
yeah.
we don't need you. Like it's you don't need that much other guys. Derek talks about, and we'll wrap up here soon. But Derek talks about. He's like, man. He's like, I got 80% of my results with like one or two of the guys. He's like, there's like one or two wingmen who I got all my results with. I don't need fucking 10 guys. It's like one or two guys, we know how to operate, and we go and get all the results. So anyway.
Well, as I was saying with the big group, like most of the time it was only 5 or 6 people came out, but just that particular night. But it wasn't like you were in a big group because what you done is you just went with the guy, you just paired up with the guy that like you were good with. So
yeah, that's
like
fair.
I was just painting the picture. It was like there was a big turnout that night as opposed to the other nights. Like
that was like when I had to tell that Australian guy, that Indian Australian guy. That was when I had to tell him. He was texting me and he wanted to. He's like, oh, I'm just meeting up with my buddies. Where all my buddies are gonna go drinking at this bar. Now maybe I'll meet up with you after. Like, no. You're not meeting up with your fucking chode buddies for 2 hours and being drunk and then coming and showing up and meeting me at 12 o'clock. Haven't done nothing. Haven't done no fucking no work. And I already know where you're at, bro. You're a fucking total beginner and you think you're advanced. And then you're just going to show up with your buddy. You're going to be there with your buddies and then show up with me and think that, oh, I'm just going to go out and Luke's going to carry me or Luke's going to show me everything. Like, bro, you're fucking baked. Like, and he didn't like that. And he was all, this fucking guy, he was all like, yeah, like, yeah, you take it too seriously and this and this. I was like, you don't take it seriously enough. You don't take your fucking life seriously enough, bro. You ain't getting shit results. I mean, you know the fuck how that is, man. I can't remember if I told him I knew you or then you told me you knew him. I can't remember exactly how that worked.
I think you're talking about the guy that I met in Barcelona once.
Yeah.
Like, see, I never had an issue with him in that sense. Like, but I just like because he was a really good looking guy.
Oh, I know, and that's what he was super tall, and like that's what was strange about it. I was like, dude, you can be getting sick results, like.
Yeah, because that's what happened. Like we met up one time, but then he wasn't taking any action.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like, which I get a lot of guys do struggle with, but like I always think if you're not going to do that, just don't come out in the first place.
Yeah, don't bother. Stay home and play video games. There's a lot of. We had another dude there that I met on the inner circle who, again, dude, this guy was like 6'2", like 21. This guy was like 20 or 21. He was like 6'2". He was really smart in sciences and shit. A good looking guy. And I was like, dude, you've got this huge advantage. Like, just put some effort in, put some time in. Like a year from now, you're going to be so much further ahead. I'm like 10 years older than you. And like, you're taller than me. Like, dude, you can have weight. I'm going to teach you. I was like, dude, I'll tell you everything I've learned these past couple of years. You're going to be a fucking animal. Like 6 months from now, you're going to be a fucking animal. You're going to be better than I am, dude. You're going to be killing it. And you can teach me. But guys just won't. They just give up. They just give up. They're just like, oh, it's too hard. It's like, and I recently saw he had like got wrapped up with some girl, like, with all due respect, she wasn't that attractive. And it's like these guys just get like slotted right in with some. Now I have a girlfriend. It's like, But you didn't even take the journey. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, like yeah, they almost just kind of like accept their situation in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's not always a good thing, because what ends up happening to those guys is they kind of regret it.
Of
Well, they
course they
will
do.
regret it.
Of course
Yeah,
they do.
yeah, yeah. But it's definitely interesting because, like as you're saying, with those good looking guys, like the girls light up for them right away. So it's almost like, but see when they realise that they've not got the skill, it ends up going the opposite way. Where, where I see if you take the guy that's the total unpackage, but he's got the skill, that really works.
Oh, I know,
Because
because
then they're like, oh, not another one. Whoa, wait a minute, where the do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, oh yeah. Like here's the thing, man. It's like being tall or having good looks. That's fine, but you still have to know how to use it.
yeah,
It's like getting a brand new super bike. It's like, oh, I got a brand new super bike. Great. Do you know how to drive it? No, I never got lessons. I never practiced. It's not going to do you any good. You're going to ride it right into the ditch. It's the first time you take it out. And
yeah,
that's like guys who have good looks and are tall. It's like, dude, you're not above the process. You still have to learn how to use what you've got. Just like a guy who's short with not much looks. That's great. You have to learn how to work with what you got. So it does. One's not even necessarily better than the other. Well, yeah, I mean, technically, of course, you want to be. If you can be tall and good looking, it's going to be better. But
yeah,
you still, it's like you still have to learn to do it. It's still the same game. It's still the same game, bro. Just because you're tall doesn't mean you're playing in the NBA, bro. You still got to
yeah.
be a good player.
And it's funny because because those guys have those advantages in the first place, they're they're more likely to be better.
I know.
Like, yeah, they're more likely to be. But if for some reason they're not,
They don't, and they don't.
then they just get crushed.
They do, and they buckle hard. I've been out and had a few guys buckle hard. Like I've just been out, and I'll just be chatting with a couple girls, and like some nice guy, but he's tall, who's like their friend. He's just like a friend of these girls or something,
Yeah,
and he'll just like, "Ooh, buh, 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 who's this guy?" And it's like once you just kind of stand your ground, you're like, "Oh yeah, cool man, great." And a lot of times those guys will buckle hard, and they're just like,
yeah,
"Oh, this guy's dumb," and you're just like, "Oh, cool, man, thanks." Da, 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 da. And the girls like you, and he can't understand it, and he's just like, "Well, this guy here, he's a dummy," and blah. And the girls are like, "We like him," and he's like, "What? What do you mean?" And you're just like, "Yeah, they like me, bro. No one likes you." He's like, "What? He's an ass," and he doesn't know. He has no clue how to handle it. He just falls into all the traps. He's just such a
yeah,
dummy. He's just a blind dummy, and he just falls into all the traps. He just starts trying to like. Oh, it's so sad. It's such a shame. I've had dudes try and like. It's like they're like on a playground. They're just like,
yeah.
he's a dummy. Look at his beard. Yeah, and the girls.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. They try and play you down.
Yeah, and
But but
he doesn't
but
realize. It's like, dude, you're just making yourself look like a fucking loser. Like, you're trying to put me down. It's just making you look lame. They like me even better because
yeah, that just puts you up.
I'm
Yeah,
totally unreactive, and he doesn't know how to handle it, so he doubles down. He's just like, yeah, what do you do? What do you do? What kind of car do you? I'm a lawyer. It's just like it's so sad, and you're just like, okay, man, it's all good, dude. And
yeah.
dude's lost.
But then that's the issue, because some of these guys have a big ego that, but because people are telling them how tall they are or how good, like they just think that they can just show up.
I know.
Which showing up's the first step. So at least they took the first step. But then if they don't do anything after that, then they're just going to be standing there and pretty mad at themselves. Yeah,
And those guys really often put themselves. They're always in like the boyfriend frame. They're always coming from a boyfriend frame. They're always like putting themselves in a provider frame. They're always trying to sell themselves. They're always just like they get stuck in this frame where they're just used to like showing off. They're kind of like, well, I'm 6'2" and like
yeah,
I'm a lawyer and like I have this kind of car, and they kind of show that off because they do get results, but they don't realize they're often the ones getting played. That's really what
yeah,
ends up happening. It's like they're getting played completely on the girl's terms. That's what ends up happening. They're getting played. They're falling completely into that girl's frame, and to them that's game. To them that's game. They think like falling into a girl's frame and basically just like almost like she's a stripper, and they're just kind of
Yeah,
like okay, I'll be your boyfriend. You have to give me sex. I'll let you like come move in with me, but you have to dress up hot. And it's like they think they're winning. It's super weird. It's like, dude, you're 6'3". You understand the kind of success you could be having, but you'd rather just like try to bully me because of my beard. Like, see you, bro.
yeah, yeah. They just get played basically. Yeah, they just get played. Yeah, it's a sad affair, but it does happen quite often. But I mean, it's interesting how those guys because those guys have the advantages. So it's like, what happened that they had pure mindsets? Do you know, like, why were they not the natural guys? Because there's quite a few guys that are tall, good looking, and they're naturals. They're naturals, like they're just killing it. Yeah, they've had the advantages, and they've had the mentality. They've been fine. Yeah, but then there's a lot of guys that have those advantages, like, physically speaking, but mentally they don't have an advantage, and that just ends up becoming harder for them because, like, because I'm 5'5", right? But I wasn't that, like, growing up. I was quite tall, but then once I got to 12, I just never grew, right? So then going through high school, I was always like, I started to become the small guy and stuff like that, right? Like, not majorly small, but like quite small, right? But like, I never seen that as a bad thing. I just said, well, that's the height I am. And I quite like my height because there's maybe from a health perspective, there's good points like to it as well. Like, because they say if you're smaller, you maybe get a better chance of living longer, stuff like that, all those things. Sure. Yeah. But like, I've just made, like, you can't change your height, so I've just made the most of it. Yeah. Would I like to be 6'4"? Yeah, like, why not? Like, sure. If I'm going to be tall, I'd want to be tall. I wouldn't want to be someone that's 5'10". Like, if I'm going to be tall, let's be tall. Yeah, but like, there's guys that are like average height. They have an advantage over me. There's guys that are like, but there's also guys under me. There's guys at 5'3". There's guys at 5. So I'm saying, like,
I've seen a lot
height definitely plays a part.
It's. I mean, look, if you can be a millionaire, it's better than not being a millionaire. If you can be
if you're born into a rich family, it's better.
If you can be 6 feet tall, it's better than not being 6 feet tall. Okay, that's the truth of it. But if it's not you, that's fine. We can still make the best of it. You can still get great results. It doesn't matter. So this is your position. You can still make the best of it. Dan Bilzerian's he's not 6 feet. He's short, bro. Joe Rogan, short. Tyler, short.
Yeah.
Jeffy, short. Max, short. Todd, short. I think I'm taller than all those guys. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
I don't think any of those.
Some of those guys are. I think Max is only about maybe slightly taller than me.
Yeah.
Like 5'7" or something.
Yeah. All those guys are under 6 feet. And they get loads of Tom Cruise. Fucking, I don't think Brad Pitt's that tall. Like, none of these guys are that tall, man. It's not a deal breaker. It's just, of course, a girl's going to say that. I want him to be rich and tall. It's like, okay, well, who are you hanging out with? A short, broke guy. Oh, okay. Like, they don't care. They're just like, I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome. Who's your boyfriend? Oh, he's short, blonde hair, and not that attractive. It's like, well, who cares what she says then? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's just beside the point.
Yeah, because it all comes down to the small percentages. Like, let's say there's two guys that are a level playing field, but the height's the one difference. Mm-hmm. Then the height comes into play.
Sure,
because that's the only difference.
Yeah.
But like, that would be such a rare incident to happen.
Yeah.
Because what's the chances of two guys showing up and they have the exact same skill level on everything across the board apart from their height?
And this is what I see too. I see guys who are tall and capitalized on that early and were able to gain positive reference experiences early in life and become the cool, popular guy in school, earlier in
Yeah,
school, and all the girls liked them, and they got all the girlfriends and all the references, and they were the clear, popular guy, then he's in a really good position. Then that guy's in a really great position, and he can either become, he's got a really good chance of just carrying right along and just being the really cool natural baseball player, fucking bar guy, just kind of
yeah,
fun dude, and he can have massive success like well into his late 20s and even into his 30s, like if he doesn't really get married or something, like he can end up like racking up like into the hundreds. He can end up getting girls like hundreds of girls without even understanding game, without even really comprehending it. He can just get so much benefits and so much like positive results and positive references. But so that definitely does happen, and that's great.
yeah,
And if you take that guy and then like install the like software of how game actually works, that guy could be a superstar. That would be
yeah,
he can be just be an animal, and that guy can just get like epic results once you actually like, dude, it works like this. Do this and this and this, and it worked. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah, do more of this and less of that. Okay, and he starts getting sick of those. I want to hang with that guy, bro. I'm dying to hang with that guy. Like I need that guy. So
yeah,
if you're him, that's sick. But what I often see with those guys, what can happen a lot is that guy will get a lot of those positive references experiences early. But what ends up happening is kind of when college ends, like when university ends, a lot of times for him the fun ends too, and he doesn't often know where
yeah,
to go from there. And he's just like, oh, well, now there's just not as many people around, and I'm not really at a party anymore. I'm not really at a bar and I'm not on the hockey team anymore, and the girls aren't really around. Now I'm just kind of drinking beer at this local bar, and here I have a girlfriend, and she wants to get married, and I guess I'll just get married. And I see that happen. I think that's more common.
yeah, yeah. That's more common because when those guys come out of their bubble, and their bubble's been very high on a social circle.
Yeah.
So when they come out of the social circle, they might come across as a cool guy,
Yeah, for sure.
but they don't come across as the cool guy.
Right.
Like, so like let's say I meet that guy, let's say we work together or whatever, right? I think, oh, that guy's cool.
For
like,
sure.
He's because he will have good mentalities and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I think him as a cool guy, but I don't think, oh, that's the captain of the baseball team. So I don't think, oh, that's the hockey player, that's the football player. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
he's not, like, I know you're saying that those guys can become like superstars, right?
They could. They could.
They were small time superstars already.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah. So within their school or within their college, those were the guys that, like, nobody questioned them.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas I still think he's a cool guy and stuff, right? But he's not going to get away with the shit that he was getting away with because I'll still question him and things.
I once saw the really cool guy from school, like the hockey player guy, really cool natural guy. Some years later, like more recently, when I was like in the absolute thick, just like my peak of learning game, and I was just hammering at it so hard. And obviously, I won't say any names, and I don't think he'd even see any of this or anything like that. But and I had just kind of forgot even about this. I just in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, that's that really. I remember there was that really cool guy at school who just seemed to have all the girlfriends and was just really popular, and we sort of knew each other very slightly, like just the odd time saw each other around. And I was one time just like standing in line up at Starbucks, like getting a coffee. And I was just like, oh yeah, and I just happened to like look behind me, and he was standing behind me, and he recognized me, and I was like, oh shit! I was like, hey man, fucking Johnny, like that's not his name, but I was like, yeah, fucking Joey, what's up, man? And he was just like, oh hey man, hey Luke, what's going on, man? I was like, yeah, you know, man, just hanging out, man, and it was so funny, man. It was like he was like, what have you been up to, man? I was just like, oh man, you know, just hanging out. Like, got this girl over here I'm just hanging out with, but I gotta go because like I'm meeting this other girl, and it's just like, And I'm just going about my life, man. I was just like working out. I was like tan and shit. I had all my shit tight because my game was so tight.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, what have you been doing? And he's just like, oh. He's like, uh, well, you know, man, it's like I just working at this insurance company, man, and like, you know, it's like, yeah, well, I got married to fucking Jenny, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I remember her. He's like, yeah, you know, well, we got 2 kids now, like, and I don't really work out anymore or anything, but man, wow, that sounds like you're doing a lot of cool stuff, man. And it was like the tables had turned. It was so crazy. And I was
Yeah.
like, it was like, what the fuck? Like, now I'm the cool guy? Like, how the shit did that happen, man? And I was just like,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
but
man, I gotta
it's,
go. Yeah.
no, I was just going to say, like, I'm going to have to charge. Like, I will wrap up
Yeah.
soon because my battery's quite low. But I
Yeah.
was just going to. I was saying, see when you see those guys, like you still see them as the cool guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, it's like, and that's where I was bringing it back to like, the girls and stuff. Like, your expectation was like, oh, that's the cool guy.
Yeah, man.
But then when he was telling you all this, oh, well, that's not cool. Like, because that doesn't fit him.
No, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I
So,
want
so,
to.
so that's why he was lighting up because you'd stepped up,
Yeah.
but you were probably starting to like feel sorry for him almost because he was coming down.
Yeah.
It does happen a lot because I think a lot of those guys they get carried away as well because like it's like part of it can be fake.
Yeah.
They're because they were the tall cool guy and they got the captain's role. They get put in that pedestal, right? But it doesn't last.
Mm.
So then, like they just start assuming, oh, like I don't need to put the work in
Mm-hmm.
because those things just maybe came a bit more natural and stuff. But and then that's what happens. Like they take the mentality and they don't keep grounded, and then like they end up starting to come down the slope.
Mm-hmm.
Which you see, that's a lot harder to do than go up the slope.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
because he already was cool. I really wasn't that cool.
Yeah.
I was like medium. I was like medium cool. Whereas he was super cool. He was the man. But he didn't take being the man, and he didn't take that into like superstardom. Like he needed to become like Dan Bilzerian cool. Like he needed to go from being the coolest guy in town to the coolest guy in the whole province to the coolest guy in the country. I wanted him to be the coolest guy ever and just have massive success. Whereas he went from being like the coolest guy in town in the school to like okay, just not really that cool anymore.
Yeah, but you find the superstars aren't the ones that were cool at school though.
I think you're right. Yeah, I don't think think Dan Bilzerian wasn't a superstar. He was average.
Yeah.
Tyler was not the superstar. None of those guys were superstars.
Yeah. See, I would say it's good. I was probably average because the thing for me was because I played sports and that I was quite cool in that aspect,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't have the socializing down.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't good with the social. So I'm saying I kept it okay because I played sports. So I was quite lucky because I played sports and stuff that I was seen as somewhat cool.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. But it's just funny because like when you think back to school, like all my mentalities like going into school and all that was how to not go and how to avoid school and all that. It would be totally different now. I would put so much more effort in.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like people don't like. I didn't know when I was growing up. I did so many stupid things. I was so lost.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know any better, and it's like now, and I think this is even part of like what we're doing. Like even like talking with each other and like hope. And I think we both kind of would love to like help other people if we could. As like,
oh yeah,
it's like, look, man, it wasn't easy to learn all these lessons, and it's like I'd love for a guy to hear this, even just one guy, man, just to hear this and be like, fuck, I can learn from these guys. Like, it's just the most important thing, man, is just to learn from other guys who've taken the journey and to learn from them because they can teach you so much and they can save you so much time, or they might even keep you from making so many wrong decisions. You might not even ever figure it out. So it's like, just listen and learn because I know like okay, I took the journey and this is where I am and I have the experience I have and that's great. But man, going further, going into the future, I need to be meeting other cool guys like you, other cool guys like me who can help me on the path or guys who are way cooler than me and want to show me. Like that's all I'm interested in. And yes, if I can help other guys, that's great too, but like I want to meet other cool guys who can cuz I don't want to have to make all the same mistakes that they already made going into the future. I want to escalate my game, my life.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can help people that are coming up in the journey,
Mm-hmm.
but you can also still help yourself by improving for the guys that are above you
Yeah.
on the journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool, man.
So
Okay.
yeah. So my battery's 3%.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if I crash out, you know why.
Yeah, yeah, no, we'll wrap up, man.
So, yeah, it should be good, but for another minute. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, man. Yeah. Well, I think we got a lot covered, man. I think we're making. I think, yeah, we're making progress, man. Like, and you know, like, yeah, the future is man coming, and I think things are gonna open up, and like, we've been hammering at this for like even just these videos for like a couple of years now. So like, who knows, man? Something may open up, or like, if anyone watching has opportunities, like, let us know. Like, I think both of us are open to opportunities, like business opportunities, money opportunities, travel opportunities. Like, let's just put it into the universe, and maybe something will come along.
Yeah, any opportunities hit us up, and also any topics you want us to discuss, anything we've not covered before. Yeah, you can drop a comment or whatever. If you're maybe there's a specific issue that you're wanting addressed or you're wanting to work on. Yeah, but we covered a lot today. That was good.
Oh yeah,
that was good. That was good. We should do another one soon again.
let's do it, man. Let's not wait so long this time. Let's do one here in the summer, man. When the summer gets cooking, let's do one because I want to see how you've been doing this summer. And if things open up a bit, maybe we'll both get more reference experiences and we can share a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, we'll do one soon again. Yeah, okay. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Nice chatting, Luke.
Yeah, nice chatting, bro.
Take care.
See you, man.
Speak soon.
You too.